All right, Madam President, I think you can go ahead and start the meeting. I'll just continue to let people in.
Thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Morongo Valley Community Services District Special Board Meeting of February 2nd, 2023. This meeting is now called to order. We'll start with a roll call. President Henning, Vice President Whitney, Vice President Whitney, are you here?
Present.
Thank you. Director Tolbert,
Present.
Director Gorky,
Present.
Director Emery.
Present.
We have a quorum. Chief, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. We are now going to enter into public comment. The board will now take time to consider your comments which are agenda or non-agenda items. The president will recognize you at the appropriate time. When called upon to speak, please state your name clearly for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes or less. Each person is allowed 1 time to speak. There will also be a 1-minute public comment period before each agenda item. Now, do we have any public comments?
I do. I have Shauna Johnson has her hand raised. Meg Foley has her hand raised. Morongo Valley Fire Department guest has their hand up, and Eva Rolls has her hand up.
Okay, I will go based on what I see on my screen. Let's start with Ms. Shauna Johnson. Thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Shauna Johnson. And I want to, there's so much to say here, but the 3 new board members have been in the community long enough to know that there are few people who attend regular monthly meetings. And this is because meetings should be boring and should not have so much contention. And we want to trust as a community. We don't go because we want to trust that the board members are representing us and what our interests are. I was looking forward to the new board members, new energy, new ideas. That's why I didn't run. I was really looking forward to some new ideas. Instead, we have a board that's heavy-handed, pushing through their agenda and speaking down to other board members and district employees in a condescending, bullying fashion. Because they represent the majority on the board does not mean that they represent the majority in the community. I propose we rescind the contract or negotiations for new attorneys until we have a public hearing on it. We had no idea that was coming, no warning, and it was pushed through. Same with the truck, the leasing of the new truck. The contract has not been signed, and I hope that the new law group hasn't been utilized, and I hope that it won't be until we can resolve this matter. Concerning tonight's agenda items, to adopt a policy establishing procedure for review and execution of CSD board approved agreements. All that's doing is giving the president, and I don't care who the sitting president is, whether it's Jennifer or anybody else, should not have the power to push through contracts that are voted on at a board meeting when we have a general manager and we have that for the checks and balances so that we know what's going on. If it passes, you're just telling the community, we're hearing, we want all the power, we have the power, and we don't care about your opinion or your wishes. Also on the agenda tonight is a public employee performance evaluation. How dare you give a performance evaluation at this stage? You've been on the board for 2 months. And you don't even, I mean, that's not even time.
Donna, thank you so much. That's 3 minutes. We're now going to move on to Meg. Thank you. Meg, you now have the floor. You have 3 minutes. Go ahead. Please unmute your mic.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I agree with everything that Shauna said. I'm concerned that tonight's agenda items matters were scheduled for a special meeting. The wording of the agenda raises alarm. Directing staff to sign a contract before adjournment of the meeting. The wording and urgency raises a lot of questions. If you felt the legal counsel wasn't adequate, how many bids were obtained for new representation? Were budget adjustments made to cover this increased unbudgeted expense? Why is a specific lead counsel named? Is there a financial relationship between the directors and this lead counsel? We can't be sure since the legally mandated Form 700, which would show financial conflict of interest, is not on file with the office as required for James and Michael. Regarding the policy to allow a president to sign agreements, I think you need to check with legal counsel. Past boards were told individual directors could not represent the district unless authority was conferred by staff. It appears that some of the current actions could put the district in a position of extreme liability. The California Special District Association offers free training to members. There's a recommended starter suite for new board members, and it's available on demand and covers many aspects that you need. The Brown Act, completing your Form 700, general manager evaluations, board member and district liability, good governance, who does what, special districts and LAFCO, and the critical nature of communications in a public agency. The CSD also offers the legally mandated AB 1234 ethics course. Even though you have a year to attend the training, past directors complete it soon after taking office. I do appreciate that Michael and James stepped up when others didn't to fill vacancies. The CSD government model is very different than the private sector, where it's common for new management to fire current staff just so they can install their own people. I really urge you to avail yourself of minimal training to learn the budget and learn the system before you make change. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg. The next person I see is MB Fire District Guest. Can you please state your full name before speaking? You now have 3 minutes.
Yeah, this is Jonathan Williams. I am a fire captain from Morongo Valley Fire Department, and I just like to speak out because of the hostility that's been going on. 3 of the board members are causing hostility for this department. And it is the 3 new board members, Jennifer Henning, James Whitney, and Michael Emery. They're causing hostility, they're threatening the fire people, and they're asking to look at personnel files, which is completely illegal. Not only that, they're not listening to the community. They're trying to make us a city, which we don't have the budget for that. Trying to go up to Sacramento, that's gonna take money away from the fire department, and we're barely scraping by as the fire department. We almost lost our fire department once, and we're going down that road again. I love this community, and I hate that. I hate that we have 3 board members that do not care about this district, do not care about the fire department, and are doing things according to their agenda. They always vote together. That has to be a conflict. Johnny and Gorky do not have a say. They always get outvoted, and that to me is a conflict. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Next up is Eva Rowles. Please state your name. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. And you now have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes, my name is Eva Rolls. I want to first say that we thank you, Jim Breakbill. You have been like amazing for our community, and I want to thank you for everything that you have done for us as a community, for our children, and for our fire department. You know, you're a vital part of our community. And I just can't even believe right now that you are going through what you're going through. You know, every decision that's made that you guys make, it affects not only our community, but it affects our children. It affects everyone around us. And the fact that this conflict of interest is going on, or this hatred towards other board members or our, district management, this is just, it's ridiculous. It's shocking for not only me, but for this community. And that's why we're all standing up here now and we're coming forward, because we're not going to put up with it. We're not going to stand by, and we're not going to let you do this to this community. Jim Brakebill, he has brought us back from a horrible position that we were in, brought our fire station back. He's at our community, every community event that we have here, he's there. He makes a presence. He is part of our community. I have never seen these 3 board members ever at any community event, softball events, anything that has to do with the community. He is there for our kids, our families, and what's being done is just not right. I think that I just need to say that it's not right what you guys are doing. And I'm not going to stand by idly and let it happen. And I know that nobody else in our community is. And I think we're going to get back to the same position we were before, of replacing board members, is what I think that we're going to be doing. It's a sad, sad day when you put your trust in people and all they want to do is tear down a community. It's a sad, sad day. And that's what I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Eva. We appreciate it. Next comment we have, I'm sorry, but I don't see a name. All I see is iPhone. Ma'am, you're wearing a black jacket with a plaid shirt and a black shirt. I'm sorry, I don't see your name.
It's Sharon.
Sharon, please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Sharon, you're muted. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Sharon Scott. I've been in this town for all my life. I have seen board members come and go, and I have seen tragedies and I have seen successes. I just want to put out this. I have not been involved with the CSD for a very long time. But for a very long time, I was involved with PS and MVRA. We were always concerned about our kids, about our community and everything else. We never had to fight our CSD. We shouldn't have to fight our CSD board members. I don't know who these 3 board members are, but I feel like I need to get involved and find out. I just want to tell all of you young people, it's important that you step up. It's important that you get involved with your community. I'm 72 years old and I will do everything I can, but it is really up to the young people of this town to step up, get involved, be informed, and find out what is going on. As to our fire chief, Brakebill, you have been amazing. And our community is so grateful for you. And I am sorry if there's whatever is going on is hurting you or hurting our community. But I do wish that this community can come together and find out what is wrong with the CSD board. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. We appreciate your comments. The next individual is T. Nemeth. Once again, I apologize for mispronunciation. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
So I have a letter actually I'd like to read, but I want to start off with, I don't think it's fair that I see very amazing people that I think are beyond qualified for the positions that they are in, put in situations that they are in right now. Mr. Brickhill has, I'm sorry?
Quit bragging, please.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
No
for
bragging.
my time, but I would like to continue on. I don't know who you are, but I'm sure you're friends with whoever
Just
we're.
no bragging, please.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Can someone mute him?
Jim, can you please?
I am. I'm doing it
Yeah.
right now.
So this is the problem
Thank
I see in this is I see some coercion going on, and I don't like that because I see someone that's not benefiting from where they're at right now, doing some hard work. And I'm sure they're highly qualified for what they're doing right now. And those who are questioning his behavior are probably not as qualified as him, which is very disappointing to see. I know the question comes, how is it that is somebody benefiting from what's going to be happening now? Because I know he's not going to be benefited for this, whatever's going on right now. And I want to know why this is coming up in the first place. Why is he being questioned? Is there an issue? Are you guys having a conflict of interest? What's going on? Because this person is fully qualified for their job and what they're doing, and they're not benefiting from it. So I don't see why there's a question here. They're doing their job good. Obviously, the community thinks they're doing their job good. Where is the doubt coming in? Is it people that feel like, I don't know, they're getting threatened by him? Anyways, I'm going to just bring another word again. It's called coercion. We're just going to keep that word there. Anyways, so here I'm writing this letter to express my strong support of Jim Brakebill, whom I have known for over 5 years. During this time, I've come to know him as highly trustworthy, responsible, and a selfless individual. Jim Brakebill possesses a strong moral character, always upholding his principles and values in every aspect of their life. He has shown consistent commitment to do what is right, even in the face of difficult circumstances. His honesty and integrity are unquestioned, and they have earned the respect of many around him. In addition, he is a true friend, always there for others in times of need. He has a kind and caring heart and is always willing to lend a hand or offer a listening ear. His generosity and selflessness are an inspiration to those around him, and I am proud to know him. Overall, I have no doubt that removing him from any position has inspired so many, and it would be a great mistake and a loss for the town. Not to mention all the lives that he saved. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you so much. The next person I see is Autumn. Autumn, please state your full name, and you now have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, thank you. This is Autumn Anderson. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm driving and I'm going to stop driving right now. But I felt this meeting was so important. I was not willing to miss it. I've only been a member of the community for 2 years, but I feel that the board, when I began participating, the reason I began was due to issues and concerns over the fire department being closed or being replaced. And that was due to a lot of mismanagement. And Chief Brakebill was able to come in, resolve the issues, support the firefighters, bring up a new group of people who were trained and mentored to take responsibility and to lead a very sound fire department that's compliant with all of the required regulations. I too am confused why there would be such a quick action from new board members to address such major sweeping changes and without the support of the community. I could understand if there had been previous discussions, as Shauna meant, of public discussion with the community to change the law firm or to do something else. At this point, I've been attending the meetings, almost every meeting, and I am curious as to the status of the job description and the job search that is supposed to be going on for the other position to continue supporting and ensuring some accountability across the different roles within the community, which we all know is important, and we all are trying to have the best, most cohesive small town community, and it's not technically even a town. And while I appreciate the efforts and perhaps the attempts to formalize some things where perhaps the new board members see opportunity or a different approach, it's very clear by the turnout tonight that that is not an approach that the community is looking for. And I hope that the message can be received and that can be amended so we can continue to have the personnel who again are willing to step up and participate, which I also appreciate. I would hate for it to be a situation where that was not mutually agreeable by the way things could come together and work as a team and as a community. One of the previous people mentioned there shouldn't be a fight from the community to the board. That's not the intention. The board is part of the community and working for the community as a whole. And I think, again, every single person could say nice things about Chief Brakebill, but they're all true. What's been said, he's always made me feel welcome, and his his motives are so genuine in trying to help other people and improve the lives of other people. He's brought in new firefighters and so much support for medical care for the community and so many different things that it is confusing why there would be a desire for such a quick and dramatic change. So I would strongly request that all of these.
Autumn, thank you so much. Your 3 minutes is up. We appreciate your comments. Next up is Lynn Hoover Watts. It is now your turn to speak. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. There's a theme here going on. Everyone's really unhappy and everyone is expressing that, but I wanted to be really specific since there's probably a lot of people listening that don't really know what's going on. And so I just want to bring up a couple of items that for me personally, I have issue with. Our current legal counsel or former legal counsel, just to back up for a second, it was recommended online that we go to the CDS or CSD office and get all of the emails between the chief and board members, and to also get the contracts. This is public, public knowledge. It's available to anyone who wants to go do it. I have all of the information. You can hit me up in the chat and I'd be happy to email you what I have, or you can just go to the CSD office. But the current attorney that we have, who we've had since 2014, I believe, I might be wrong on that, but I think we've had him for quite a long time. He charges about $125 an hour. This new firm starts at $245 and can go as high as $895 per hour. Now, I don't know why. Maybe there's a good reason. I would love to hear the reason why we're in a rush and we have to right now change counsel. I know that whenever anything else is put up for a vote, where we're spending money, the customary thing to do is to get, a few different quotes, have everyone talk about it, have public conversation, and then vote on it. That's not what happened here. Yes, it was in the agenda. But you don't see it in the agenda and think, oh, we're going to vote on this today. The board members, I don't think they had a chance to really review it. We didn't review it as the public. The other that I have an issue with is that when I looked at the emails, it was very interesting to me that 3 board members copied on all of the emails. Why are only 3 board members? Shouldn't all of them be involved? When they're talking to the chief and giving him orders and telling him do this, do that, and do the other, shouldn't that be a group conversation? I don't know why, Christina and Johnny were left out of those loops, but I do know that there are 3 board members that all have a personal relationship, whether it's, there's partnership here, there's employment issues here. They work together and have a relationship outside of the CSD. For me, that's a huge conflict of interest. And then with this agenda item where they're going to vote on cutting the general manager out of signing off on stuff. I mean, this is kind of sounds like just absolute control. There's more, like as you said, there's just so much, but I would like to give other people a chance to chime in. And I just really wanted to be specific about the issues, or at least some of the issues that those of us that are kind of.
Thank you, Lynn. Your 3 minutes is up. We appreciate your comments. Thank you. Next speaker is Jim Ragland. Jim, you now have 3 minutes.
Thank you and good evening. I will say first of all, thank you to the board members for serving, because there are a lot of us in this community that are willing to step up and do that job. And we either don't have the time or we just haven't done it. So we appreciate the fact, or I do, that you guys are giving your time to serve. But I would encourage you tonight to listen to what the community is saying. I mean, we've got a large group of people, the largest group that you've had at any meeting in a long time. Because we're in a crisis again. So I would encourage you to listen to the comment and maybe postpone these actions until we can have more public debate on them, being that we can attend. My concern is that a special meeting is called to change our legal representation that we've had.
Mr. Rocco, I don't know if you can hear me now, but right now we can't hear you. Either your music or your microphone is not working.
The second issue is have
Mr.
Sir,
Ragland,
your
we're
microphone isn't
unable
working.
to hear you.
in this
Mr. Ragland, sir, we're unable to hear you.
CSD. So again, I don't see urgency to call a special meeting to do these things. So I would just encourage you to listen to these comments tonight. I think the majority of these folks, they don't agree with what you're trying to do tonight, and I would
All right, Mr. Ragland, I'm sorry we can't hear you, but your 3 minutes are done. Thank you for your comments. Next hand I see is Brennan Gorter. Once again, my apologies for mispronunciation.
Mike's not working.
Mr. Gorter, you have 3 minutes.
You need to mute yourself again.
All right, thank you very much. And you got the name correct.
They're not hearing
Thank
me.
you.
So Morongo Valley is a special place, and it's a place that holds a special spot in most of our hearts. It's no secret or surprise that it is a small and vulnerable, especially considering its location. But it's exactly for those reasons that the community, the people, look to their representatives to guide them, to represent them, to share their values and prioritize the well-being and safety of the citizens of Morongo Valley. When you took the oath of office, it means something, and leaders should lead with intent and morals. For places like Morongo Valley, this becomes even more important. From what I'm hearing, the individuals on the board in conversation aren't listening. They're not making ethical decisions for the betterment of the community or even their staff, the CSD employees. Without the CSD, there is no autonomy and there is no local control. Listen to the people you represent. Do what is best for them in every decision and every action you make. That is what makes a leader, and that is what James Brakebill does and continues to do as chief.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gorter. We appreciate it. The next hand I see up is Jess. Jess, you now have 3 minutes. Please state your full name for the record.
Hello, this is Jessica Von der A. And I just wanted to say, Christina, you're not president anymore? No, sorry, seriously. I understand that life goes on and we all get really busy, but it's like our CSD is meant to be here for our people. And I see people in our community coming together tonight because it went out in urgency that once again, we have people on our board that it sounds like you're not doing what's like in favor of the people here in Morongo Valley. So I don't know when these people were voted in office. And please, thank you to all the people who notified the community about what's going on and keeps us up. But it is our responsibility to vote these people in, and where we are now, whatever it is that's going on, we need to put our heads in these meetings, because it sounds like what's going on is the same thing that happened almost a year or two ago, where people are putting their butts in our CSD and doing things that are crooked and corrupt. So thank you, Christina and Johnny, for being on the board, and I hope that things get better. But can you guys just leave our town alone? It's a little town and it's great. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Jess, for your comments. Are there any other public comments? I do not see any hands raised. All right, anyone? Going once? Going twice? All right, seeing that there are no more public comments, we will close the public comment period.
We do have a hand that they have two hands up.
All right, we can, we'll take that. All right, I see a hand up of Vanessa. Vanessa, please state your full name for the record. You now have 3 minutes. Vanessa, you may speak now. All right, Vanessa, we're unable to hear you, so I'm going to move on to Dr. DY, and we can come back to you, Vanessa, once your mic starts working. So, Dr. DY,
Hi.
are
Yes,
you
my
ready?
name is Donna.
Hi, Donna.
And hi.
Please
I
go
would
ahead.
like, pardon?
No, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
I would like to share with the community that I think it's really important that we join together. I'm horrified at what I'm hearing. I'm horrified that people are changing things in the way that they're trying to change them. And I would encourage everybody in the community to come together, which I haven't been doing as much as I will from this point on. And I think there's a lot of choices that we have. And I really ask the board to start going into the community and finding out what it is that we want. I certainly don't want a more expensive legal team. And I hear the things that are happening, and it's really sad. And we almost lost our fire department 2 times. And I think it's very important that we all step up and do what we need to for the community to actually make things better. So I'd like, the second part of this is I would like everybody to be a little kinder and nicer to each other. So I appreciate everything that everybody is doing. And I assume that it's all the people that are making decisions like this are doing it because they believe it's right. But I hope we can step back, and if those decisions are made tonight, I think we need to consider legal action. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
If we're done with that comment, I see that Buddy Stronger. Buddy, you now have 3 minutes. Buddy, we can't hear.
Hi. I just want to say, I've been here for 35 years. I've been involved with the community quite a bit. Hold on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank
Can
you.
hear me now? All right. So I just want to say that I've been here for 35.
You're on mute, Buddy. Buddy, if you can hear me, you're on mute. We're unable to hear.
Okay, I think you had two speakers going. I think it's either you have one or Tamblin is the other speaker. I would just mute one of them.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes. All right. So let's start over. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, so yes, I've been here in our little town for 35 years, maybe a little bit more. Very involved with the community. You know, over this past year, Jim and Johnny and Tink and the rest of our staff and our firefighters have pulled some amazing stuff off. I mean, they have literally just brought everything and everybody in this town together. And if we've all worked together to get to where we are at now. And then here come you three. And I don't know what your agendas are, but you guys do not care about anybody or anything in this town. And I think it's just going to be best. You can see the outcome on this meeting tonight if you guys just pack up your stuff and go back on home. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Buddy. We appreciate your comments. Let's go back to Vanessa. Vanessa, are you still here and are you still interested in speaking?
I can't seem to get, can anyone hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you now. Thank you. All right, Vanessa, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Thanks. I just wanted to emphasize that for the most part, people coming to this meeting tonight have very little information about what sounds like very significant changes that the board is considering, or at least 3 members of the board is considering making. And I would strongly suggest that those 3 members of the board hold off on making any significant decisions until the community has a full sense of what's going on. And I think it's clear from everyone talking tonight that, and I think that it's probably clear to everyone on the board that the board serves the community. So I just really love to emphasize that the community needs way more information before the board can decide on anything of this gravity. Thanks.
Thank you, Vanessa. Do we have any other comments?
We have 2 more hands that went up.
Okay, Sue LaFleur, you have 3 minutes for public comment. Sue, there you are.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. And yes, all of you who serve on the board, I appreciate everything that you're doing. I understand that there are some issues that are very sensitive to the community, and I was thrilled when I saw some of the new members come in. I have applied for a seat on the board. I have stepped up. I have served in the community in many ways, and I was thrilled to see that there was a younger community coming together to take care of Morongo Valley. And I thought, okay, great, they've got this, they've got this. And now that we're back to square one, I just can't believe it. It's like, what happened? So again, I stand with the comments that have been said so far and say, come on, please, let's stay together as a community, listen to what the agenda is for the majority. We all have our individual wants, needs, opinions, yada, yada, but listen, it's really important that we let this community go forward for the young families that live here now and support their agenda. And I don't understand why we're now shifting back to this new thing. But I am here if you need me. I'm old school. I've been in the desert a long time. I served on a lot of boards, and I was appalled when I saw that there was this kind of agenda going forward so quickly. So I would say, please listen to your community. This is a great place to live. There's no need to change it. Baby steps. Okay, let's stay together as a community and let's take baby steps together. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. The next hand up is Christina Sanchez. Christina, you have 3 minutes and you're on mute.
I'm Christina Sanchez and I'm a resident here of Morongo Valley. I just want to echo what many of the other folks that have spoken before me, in particular Vanessa, bringing up the point that we need to be made aware of. If it wasn't for folks like Shauna who should host, I didn't hear much of this stuff. I have a crazy busy work life, and if it wasn't for community like Shauna and other folks in the community that are sharing information to make us aware of what's happening within our community, money could be spent elsewhere. I believe supporting our local fire department is critical. If there's an emergency, who else is going to come to help us? It's just a small little department there, and so it's very to hire a new counselor, to hire a legal team, to me just sounds an inappropriate way of spending money. And I hope that you listen to the community that is speaking here tonight. I also ask that you, the board members, find ways to reach out to the public. There are many folks that do not have access to internet. Many elders do not know how to use the computer. So I believe that there needs to be better public outreach. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Christina. The next hand up is Matthew Campos. Matthew, please unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is Matthew Campos, and I had the distinct pleasure and privilege of serving on the CSD board. I served a 5-year term, and not to say that it was completely without its turmoil from time to time, but I wanted to remind this particular board that, first of all, I think most of the public needs to know that you guys weren't voted in. You did sign up, and we appreciate your service onto the board, but your names were never on a ballot. I don't think anybody ever cast a vote for you to sit on this board. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is I'd love to sing the praises of Mr. Jim Brakebill. Jim has revived our fire department, our standing not only in Morongo Valley, but throughout the Morongo Basin, throughout the Inland Empire, throughout Southern California, and throughout California. Under Jim's guidance and leadership, his years of knowledge, his expertise, his relationships with fire departments all across the state, this man has been able to acquire so much mutual aid support for this community. He's been able to bring us fire trucks that have cost us nothing. And he is literally, with his guidance, built our department back up. I cannot say enough about Mr. Jim Brakebill. I'd like you guys to really take a look at your agenda and the way that you are framing these new business items. I would strongly recommend that you consider taking the action of postponing any votes on any of these items, continued business or new business. They're not worthy, first of all, of the board. They don't propel or make things any better for our community. Actually, I think they make things worse. I have not heard any justification for terminating our previous attorneys for Best, and Krieger. I understand who they are. I know who they are. I understand their reputation, but I haven't heard any justification for changing attorneys. And the concept of having the board president override and have signature authority is not a wise idea at all. So that one I would strongly recommend a no vote if you ever do take an vote action on that.
Thank you, Matthew. Your 3 minutes is up. We appreciate your comments.
Madam President.
Yes.
A lady that has texted me a little while ago by the name of Lisa Weldon. Who said she'd like to speak, but she can't find how to raise her hand. So she asked me to notify you. Lisa Weldon is her name.
All right, just one moment. I'm going to allow the gentleman with the screen name of Simplify and his hand up. I will let him speak and then we'll move on to Lisa. So, Mr. Simplify, can you please state your full name? And you will now have 3 minutes to speak. And you're on mute. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Jeremiah Weldon, and I've actually lived in the Morongo Valley for 46 of my 47 years. And in that time, I've been raised here and I've raised my children here. And it's a beautiful place like none other. And I would just ask that people realize how special this is and to not try to make the changes that you guys are going through with before you guys explain to the community exactly what's going on, and you guys have a full meeting where people can come in and hear you speak, because there's a lot of people in this community that can't do Zoom, that aren't tech savvy. You guys represent us as a community, including the elderly, including the children. We have one of the best schools in the state, and I really do think that the community deserves to at least understand what's going on, and that's all I would like to say. I heard about the things that have happened around to try to shut down certain things that happen in this community, and it's disheartening, and it doesn't serve our children, and it's ridiculous. So you guys have a good day.
Thank you very much, Jeremiah. Chief, you please, let's recognize the lady that contacted you.
Lisa Weldon.
Lisa, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I agree with Jeremiah, buddy. Everyone I've been listening to tonight, we all have this town's best interest in mind, and it doesn't seem like these 3 representatives have the same interests that our whole entire community has in mind. And you can see by all of you, and thank you all for showing up tonight and showing that we care, and we do want to show up in person. If you can have a meeting so we can all discuss this, because I think it is important to this community. Jim Brakebill is amazing. He's done nothing but great things for this community. And Christina, thank you for everything that you've done down at the park and everything for all these kids. It really makes a difference. My kids love it. They enjoy it down there. Thank you very much. And Johnny, you've done nothing but great things as well. We've all been in the community my whole entire life. I'm 47 and I have not seen anything like this. The 3 of you are acting like children. I mean, if you don't want to be part of this community and you don't want to be part of this family that we have and this community represents, then please step down, carry on, go somewhere else. But yeah, it's important that we all stand up together. And thank you very much, Jim, for all that you've done for the community and our judo program as well down at the park. We appreciate everything that you've done for all of us. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lisa, so much for your comments. We appreciate it. All right, do we have any other hands?
We have 2 more hands that popped up.
From what I'm seeing Dr. DY again, and I'm also seeing that Sharon Scott, those 2 individuals have previously spoken.
I have Estelle Foster on the telephone. She
okay.
doesn't have a computer.
Absolutely, please. We love to hear from Estelle. Okay. Estelle, please speak. You have 3 minutes, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Christina, Johnny. I'm just so grateful that I tuned into this meeting. And if I can add my voice to say that it's imperative that we all get to hear what's going on and we all get to have a say in what's going on. There's no other way. Nothing can be just overridden and pushed through by force or by whatever other means without the community. This community is unique. I certainly agree with the man that spoke before. It's unique, it's special, and we are all special in this, and we need to listen and we need to be heard. And so my vote and those of my husband and those of my family all vote for a postponement of any rushing, and to just, there's no need to rush anything through and be sorry for it later. My vote is to take a step back. Let's have a meeting that's inclusive. Thank you all so much. Thank you, my neighbors, my friends, and all the people in Morongo whom I look forward to meeting. Bye for now.
Thank you so much, Estelle. I really am truly honored to have you here always. All right, the next hand I see is Karen's iPad. Karen, can you please state your name, and you will have 3 minutes.
My name is Karen Lowe. I've been a resident of Morongo Valley for just over 20 years. It is so disappointing that we just got through a period of horrible turbulence and unhappiness, and Mr. Brakebill came in and managed to get things back running. And now here we are over again. All of a sudden, you know, we have to have a special meeting in order to select a new attorney. I mean, that we obviously can't afford. So I really hope that the 3 members of this board that are making these seemingly very bad decisions would take a step back and listen to the community. We need to have a regular meeting where we discuss what's going on and what the reasoning is. And hearing that we have gone back to a hostile workplace, it is incredibly upsetting. And I'm sure that you can see that there are, you know, nearly 100 people on this meeting, and there has been the entire time I've been watching the attendance. Please know that we are not going away, and we like our town the way it is. We like our fire department the way it is. You know, please think about your actions before you take this crazy step. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I see one additional hand. I'm sorry, your name is not on the screen. It's Samsung. Once again, my apologies. But if you could please state your name, you now have 3 minutes to speak, and don't forget to unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Hanna. I'm a longtime resident of Morongo Valley as well as a business owner here. And my daughter went to school at Morongo Elementary. And I agree with Karen and so many of the other members. I found out about this meeting on Facebook. It's ridiculous. I had no idea it was going on up until a little bit ago. And thankfully, I'm tech savvy enough. Well, actually, my daughter's tech savvy enough to get me on a Zoom meeting. I absolutely believe that we need to have an in-person meeting at the community center where we can discuss these things, because I don't think it's up to 3 board members to dictate everything that happens in the entire community of Morongo Valley. I think it's outrageous, and I think we need to be able to share a collective voice here, because there's plenty of really good people that don't do Zoom, that never even knew this was going on. No notice, nothing. So, and like I said, I own a business and I own a home here, and I went on Facebook to find out. It's ridiculous. We should all be notified of what's happening in our community. It's a small one and it's amazing, and we deserve the chance to make decisions in it, and nobody else should. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. Are there any other public comments?
We still have the one hand up.
As I stated before, that's Sharon Scott, and she spoke previously, and we stated at the beginning of the meeting, each member would have 1 opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. So if there are no.
I'd like to speak. I can't raise my hand. May I please?
Please state your full name. And yes, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hi, this is Lisa Ray Black. My family's been here since 1930, and I have a beautiful 5-acre parcel with a house. And I'd like to thank the new board members for bringing us all together. Unfortunately, it's not the most happy of events, but here we are. So nonetheless, and this very small town has so much to offer. I would like to thank Buddy and Tammy for letting me produce the Morongo Valley Music Festival at Covington Park. I was faced with a lot of adversity and people tried to shut me down, and it was just bizarre. And it was indicated that that might have come from inside the board, which was very disappointing to me. So here we are collectively. It doesn't seem as though the new board members are very welcome, and I would call for them to please stand down. Thank you for letting me share.
All right, thank you, Lisa, for your comments.
You're welcome.
I see Rosemary. Rosemary, if you'd like to speak, you have 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Rosemary, and I moved to Morongo in 2015. And I've served on many boards in the past and currently serve on a board. When I moved to Morongo, I tried to get information about a Morongo Valley board or who's, in control of this city. And there was very little information and very old information. And I didn't even believe that there was anybody, because we're unincorporated. I just thought we were under San Bernardino County and that we didn't really have a board. And more recently, through social media, I found out about the meetings and some things, especially back when the issues with the fire department were happening. And then again yesterday about this emergency meeting. So I just feel like there's very little transparency with this board. And like a lot of other people here, we just found out about this, and we don't even know why it's happening, why you want new legal counsel, why you're thinking of incorporating Morongo Valley. There may be very good reasons, but there's very little transparency here with the board. And it seems to be, from what I'm hearing, specifically 3 new board members are together on this, and the whole community is against it or just needs more information. Maybe there's valid reasons, and it would be a good thing for the community, but we just don't know that. Where do we get the information about why these things are happening? So I think it's important. I don't know if there's a website for Morongo Valley Board. I still haven't found anything like that, but I think it's important to be more transparent with the community. And as some other people mentioned, that we should have a public meeting, in-person meeting about these issues before any decisions are made.
Oh, thank you so much, Rosemary. I appreciate your comment. I do not see any other hands raised. Chief, do you see anyone else?
I don't see any new hands raised other than the one that's already up there.
Okay, and my apologies, but Sharon has already spoken. So if there are no other hands raised or new individuals to speak, I'm going to ask once, going twice. All right, seeing as there are no other individuals to speak at public comment, we are going to close the public comments portion of this meeting, and we're going to move directly into the agenda. The next item on the agenda is continued business. Item E1, direct general manager / fire chief to sign legal counsel agreement. Action item, recommendation. Direct the general manager to complete the execution of the agreement before adjournment of this special meeting to retain the legal services of Best and Krieger as approved by the Morongo Valley Community Service District Board of Directors on January 18th, 2023, by a motion of Vice President Whitney to bring Best and Krieger on with Shauna Amon as lead counsel, starting immediately, subject to an advance deposit or trust not to exceed $2,500 or a retainer in excess of $500 a month. Seconded by Director Emery. Motion passed by a roll call vote. Aye 3, nay 2. With that being said, we will open up the item for discussion. Do we have any comments or discussion that would like to be made?
I'll speak first.
All right, Director Tolbert, you have the floor.
Okay, at our last meeting, Director Henning, you brought in a engagement letter from BB&K. I've seen the contract that you are attempting to order Chief Brakebill to sign. They are not the same. The numbers do not match up, the names do not match up. So how can you attempt to say that what the three of you voted on in January 18th is the same thing you're trying to make the chief sign now? They're not. We have no business talking about signing a contract. Also, I have been in touch with LAFCO. I spoke with the executive director of LAFCO. He's seen the contract from BB&K. He's seen, the engagement letter from BB&K. He's seen the contract that we have with Steve Kennedy, and he believes that we should be holding a public hearing to allow our public to speak on this, since this is their money we are trying to spend. If you just look at the numbers from the two, the engagement letter and the contract, we're looking at raising our legal fees about, I don't know, 4 times. We, as a small special district, do not have the money to afford BB&K. We're currently $229,000 of a budget, which means we should be trying to find ways to not spend money unless we absolutely have to. Instead, you want to increase spending. That's not fiscally responsible. That's wasting money. That's wasting taxpayer dollars. The citizens of the district trust us to make good decisions, not making them. You're playing with money like it's monopoly money, and it's not your money to play with. I know for a fact that today a meeting was held behind myself and Director Gorky's back to tell me to find out that 2 board members wanted to meet with the new attorney and not have the entire board there is a travesty. If we are going to be trying to hire a new attorney, the board should meet with them, not just the 2 of you. You have no authority to speak on behalf of the board, whether you have the title of president or you have the title of dog catcher. The only time you have the authority to speak on behalf of the board is by a vote of the board allowing you to do that. So anything you did in this meeting today is not legal, is not correct. You had no business doing it. And then I find out that threats were made to one of our employees at this meeting. You've got to be kidding me. Are we children? What are you doing? We do not have the money for BB&K. Look at your budget. Understand where the money is at. Look how you are spending or attempting to spend. This is ridiculous. This is not monopoly money. This is not your personal money. These are taxpayer dollars. All these people on this meeting tonight are the people paying the taxes. They're the ones, that's the money you're spending, their money. Listen to what they're telling you. That's all for now.
Thank you, Director Tolbert. Do we have any other directors that would like to make a comment or start discussion?
Jen, I'd like to make a comment.
Director Whitney, please, you have the floor.
Yeah, first of all, I agree completely with what Johnny just said. A small town like ours cannot afford unbelievably expensive legal bills. I used to attend the CSD board meetings, and I found them so disruptive, so cantankerous. Everyone was yelling at everybody. And from what I understand, there was even legal action that was taken between board members or things like this that were costing an absolute fortune. I don't know what the numbers are. I did ask, I think it was Bonnie, to produce the numbers because I knew they were hefty. But I decided, because I don't like all of this conflict and consternation, and I've presided over many boards and had never seen anything like what I was seeing. at the CSD boards here in Morongo Valley. I just stopped attending. And then finally, a number of people in Morongo Valley said, rather than stop attending, why don't you get on board so you can make some changes? Because I want our little town to be just the most unbelievable town on the planet. I want it to look beautiful. I want it to stay quaint. What I've heard tonight, I adore our fire chief. I think he's the best fire chief. In fact, chief knows this. If not in the upper desert, California, the country, possibly the world. That's how much of a fan I am of the chief. What I've heard tonight, I'm glad I have really thick skin because it blows me away. Incorporating the town. This has never, ever, there's been no motion ever made that I know of to begin any process of incorporating the town. All of the things that were discussed, firing the chief, I don't know from where this is coming, but I'm gonna maintain my composure because this is what I saw when I stopped coming to the CSD meetings. I really implore everybody to give me a chance. I'll speak for myself. The other board members can speak for themselves. I'm really good on a board. I love Morongo Valley, which is why I live here. And I want to make it the best town we can possibly ever have. I was sickened by the amount of money being spent on legal bills. There is a time-sensitive issue wherein obtaining counsel, not the counsel that we had formerly, because there was possibly a conflict of interest or even the appearance of a conflict of interest and some other things that President Henning can go into if she so chooses. But it was a time-sensitive issue that could cost a lot of money. And I know I've worked with BB&K before in Palm Springs, Jeff Ballinger specifically. They're the best in the industry. Chief, could you jump in and let the group, because I'm sure many don't know who BB&K is. Can you give them your impression of BB&K?
Yep.
And also, can you confirm how much I adore you, please?
Yeah, BB&K is one of the top law firms in California. Okay, and I don't have an issue with that law firm. They bring a lot of wealth and knowledge. And I just have a disagreement on the process of not having the public involved. Has nothing to do with the professionalism of that law firm and the services they can offer. I just wanted to make that clear on how I feel about either law firm. Both law firms were great, and BB&K brings a lot to the table. So, you know, I just want to be open and honest and let you know my opinion. And that's it. If anybody has any questions, you can ask me.
Excuse me, Chief. Mr. Whitney says he adores you. Is that what you took from the meeting today?
I'd have to listen to the recording because, you know, he did say that he's a big fan, and he did say that he appreciated all the stuff that has occurred with the fire department. And he did say that he appreciated the time it took to square the fire department away. But he did have some concerns about some policies and procedures and so on and so forth. But yes, he did make a point to say that he was very appreciative of what I had.
Were there any insults issues today, Chief?
That point, not only do I so appreciate Chief, but every one of the firemen there, when you were talking about going in and asking for files of, I've been in that fire area one time. Chief was nice enough to introduce me to the guys. They were absolutely fantastic. I think we have one of the best fire department situations going on, and that it's going to get better and better and better with Chief at that helm. So again, there's a lot of misinformation, erroneous information, egregiously erroneous information out there. So I'm glad that it's ultimately going to be cleaned up. I'm glad that I have thick skin and have served on a lot of boards. But there is so much that was said tonight that is just completely out of control wrong. So I support the Chief. What he's doing in that fire department is second to none. And all of your guys, Chief, same exact thing, as you know. President Henning, let's go ahead and ruin a surprise that we had just so this group can understand how much appreciation we have. Can you explain what was going to be a surprise, Chief, that unfortunately is going to be spoiled now but it will be realized at the next board meeting.
Well, sadly, yes, I mean, double-edged sword here. At last month's meeting, as it would be reflected in the minutes once they are sent out with the next meeting agenda, Chief had brought up some of the things that he would like to bring to the table and start doing for the board, for the guys at the firehouse, for the fire department. One of those things was he wanted to start recognizing firefighters each month, doing a monthly firefighter of the month, firefighter of the year, so on and so forth. Chief, am I right about that?
You're absolutely correct.
So with that being said, obviously, that's a fabulous idea and it should be done. It should be reinstated. So our thought was, mine and James, president and vice president, we were going to surprise Jim and give him a proclamation to start this reignited tradition off with honoring the person who has single-handedly brought this district, and more importantly, our fire department, out from the depths of despair. A year ago, when I decided to get on the board, we were in fear. It was December 13th, I think, in 2021, if it's on the board still behind Chief. We were in fear of losing our fire department. If it wasn't for the leadership of Chief and his expertise in his field, we might not have a fire department today. But thank you, Chief. So just to echo a little bit of the comments from Mr. Whitney, I'm honestly shocked to hear how many people, almost everyone who took the time to speak tonight, thank you again, somehow thinking that something's going on with Chief and the board or the new board members were not happy with Chief or the guys or the performance. I'm very baffled by that because that's the furthest from the truth. Chief and I, as far as I know, unless Chief, you've said something different, we have a great working relationship. We're two old government professionals that we've been through the trenches. We know the ropes, and we know this is a tough business. Leadership and responsibility, it's hard. It's hard. You have to make hard choices to do the right thing. And I know Chief and I share a common bond to do that. So while I have the floor, and Chief, I'm sorry, your surprise is now ruined, but you're getting a proclamation in 2 weeks. So there you go. Act surprised when we get to the meeting. With that being said, I'm going to move into a couple comments that were made by Director Tolbert. One of the comments, Johnny, that you made was regarding the meeting that happened today with BB&K. And in that meeting was Vice President Whitney, myself, and Chief. And the reason for that meeting was merely for the attorneys to talk to Chief and talk to the president and vice president, to two presiding officers, to try to get the lay of the land. What is it that's going on? What contracts do we have outstanding? What issues can they help with? Are there issues? Do we need help with personnel files? The lead attorney, Ms. Shauna Amon, she not only is an attorney with BB&K, general counsel, she specializes, has a specialty in fire, employment, and relation. She works with firefighter unions. And Chief, when Chief heard that, Chief, weren't you happy about that when we had that conversation?
Yes, I asked them, what do they provide? How much experience do they have in the fire service? And I was told that they represent 5 fire districts. They're very knowledgeable on contracts, labor negotiations, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, okay, thank you. I did not know that. And so, that's what I said. So am I mistaken, Jennifer, in that comment?
I remember that, Vice President Whitney, you? Did you remember that? Okay. All right. So moving on from there, another item I want to address. So in addition to Ms. Amond having that expertise, her co-counsel, who she will also be working with, is a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Novell. He is a specialist in community service districts. That is his niche and area of expertise, which I think is a plus. So with counsel and co-counsel coming on board to help us get on solid footing in terms of contracting, in terms of employment agreements, I think that's hyper critical. It is so critical to this district. I know, once again, I'm going back to the conversations and comments that were made about Chief. As you know, someone here, which I applaud for pulling public records and exercising your FOIA rights. I'm happy to hear that. At the top of the public comment, they had mentioned pulling those records and emails and so forth. One of the things that's also public record that's been included with agendas is Chief's employment contract. And I think with as much as everyone who loves Chief, I think this community ought to be concerned because Chief is working under an expired agreement. That, in my mind, is unacceptable. Why has this board for the past year not engaged and updated that agreement? It wasn't until December that we started doing that. And if you don't believe me, please go on the district's website where his employment agreement is listed, and you will see that the terms of that agreement have not been being fulfilled legally. We have to thank our good graces that Jim is such, you know what, he's such a good man, and he cares so much about this district that he would never do anything to harm us. And he is here out of love for the district and each and every resident here. We know that by how his men and his women of the fire department look up to him. They work with him and for him and how he leads them. And in my mind, to have an agreement that is not solid, tight, and executed, that's unacceptable. So that's another reason. There's no need for that to delay, which is why we, in my opinion, we need a council that can come on and protect our employees and the district. And going back, circling back a little bit to Johnny's comment about this meeting today with BB&K.
I have more comments for you, comment on what I have to say.
Okay, just one moment. I wanted to say that I'm going to stretch my legs a little here and talk a little bit about closed session. And I hope I don't, I'm not overstepping, but in January 18th in closed session, when BB&K was introduced, BB&K said in that meeting that they would be meeting with each board member individually to discuss, to introduce themselves, to meet the board members and find out what their concerns are, where they wanted to go, where they saw possible holes and rooms for improvement. So the fact that the reason why we didn't have a meeting with legal, with the entire board, because once again, that would have been a quorum. It would have required being agendized. And we need to have a certain attorney-client privilege there as well. And so Johnny, Tank, BB&K will be meeting with you also. And if the two of you would like to meet together with them, you are absolutely allowed to do that. I don't think that Shauna or Nick would have a problem with that. And then lastly, and Johnny, I'll give it back to you or whoever would like the floor. You had mentioned that directly, explicitly, that you spoke to LAFCO's executive director, Sam Martinez, and said that he said that we could not hire BB&K by a majority vote of the board. I did add that part. And we needed to have a public hearing to engage in this contract. I'm a little baffled by that because initially I did speak to Mr. Martinez regarding acquiring new counsel. And he said, absolutely, It's always good for any board, any elected body to get new counsel and look at doing that. And it's absolutely within the board's purview to do such without 3 quotes, 3 bids, however it is. And in fact, I spoke to him today, this afternoon, and he applauded the board for bringing on BB&K because they are one of the premier law firms for public agencies. So I wish Sam was here. I had asked him to join us this evening as a guest, and he was busy. But I'm sad that he was busy, because then he could have commented directly on, you know, what he said to you versus what he said to me on today and back in December.
Okay, I believe you need to check your hearing. I did not say that he said we should not hire. I said that he recommended we do a public hearing so that the public can see all the numbers. I never said he recommended us not to hire. So please do not attempt to put words in my mouth. If you don't understand what I'm saying, ask me.
So I'd just like to chime in and make a comment.
I'm going to request, Mr. Colbert, that you speak more nicely to the president, please.
I'm speaking nicely. You just interrupted. Go ahead, Director Gorky.
So I just want to put out what I think came up as a red flag for a lot of community members and the people that reached out to me. Is it's pretty standard that this board has gone with a 3-bed presentation after a board decides that, yes, we want to look into XYZ item. So the item that was on our agenda last month was the consideration of looking at obtaining new legal counsel. What happened was, instead of us having a vote on if we were going to have the office research that, was a proposal was pulled out, ready to go, ready to be signed. We had no other bids. We had, you know, I mean, I literally, it wasn't in our agenda information. It was something that was handed to me in the middle of a meeting to quickly flip through. And all I could see beyond, you know, what our current services are being provided is that we're looking at double the cost when we're also discussing our mid-year budget review and being in the situation that we're in. So it didn't make sense to me that we are skipping what's pretty much standard practice, which is just giving the public time to digest what's going on, what's being presented, but even more so that the board didn't decide collectively that we were going to be seeking other counsel. It was listed that that was going to be the discussion item. And then instead of there being a motion to pursue that search for new legal counsel, there was just a motion to accept this proposal, this one proposal that we got from one company. Despite how great they might be, it just leaves a bad taste in the public's mouth that there's no information provided, or they're not getting the opportunity to have their comments heard or whatever. It was moved very quickly. I mean, my reason for motioning no, simply based on the fact that we didn't have any other bids in, and it was handed to me in the middle of a meeting. It wasn't like I knew that this was something that was going on, because then maybe personally I'd reach out and say, hey, this is going on to my neighbors so that they have an opportunity to show up at the meetings that we have. You know, it is their responsibility to be there on the 3rd Wednesday of every month, regardless of what's happening. But it was just very, very quickly moved through, which leaves people confused as to what that need was or why it's being done by our director without even having the board collectively say, yes, we want to go seek new counsel. So I think that's where a lot of community members went, wait a second, what's going on? Why is this happening? I know there's some things that we don't talk about because of the closed session, you know, limitations and all of that. But it moved very quickly, and you're going to get a response from the community when it doesn't seem like they need to be involved in the decision-making process for something that's much larger than what we've been dealing with recently. And as far as this ongoing contract with our interim general manager, collectively, the board over the summer, while we were finalizing the budget, decided we were going to extend this until we decided to advertise the general manager position, which the ad hoc committee of Johnny and Jennifer were preparing, and I know presented at a meeting I wasn't present at, but then it just died there. There was no public interest in still searching for something new or replacing this. It could have been brought by any of the directors at any time we were having a regular meeting. It's not just what me as acting president at the time said we were going to have this on as an agenda item. This is always something that could be added, which is why while I was in the position I was in, I asked the office to directly reach out to directors and say, you know, what do you want on this agenda? And always leaving it open that, hey, if we're sitting down and something didn't get added in time, what are we going to add? Let's go ahead and do that. So just to explain, I think where people are concerned that, you know, all of a sudden people are worried about it and what's going on, that's why. Something was presented without public information and a decision was made without any of that being considered. And what, you know, I still can't, I don't understand. When people ask me what's the rush in changing, I don't know. So, I mean, I don't know if anyone's got a question for me on that, but that's kind of where I want to say the red flag came up for the public, that things were being moved on. Even the truck bid, we had the office first, the board had to direct the office, our general manager, to research and bring back more information to the board as to what our next step should be. There was time. The public wasn't involved in that decision-making process, but we were given bids. We were given bids, and then there was a motion made after there was information provided to all board members with adequate time as well as the public.
President Henning?
Yeah, if I could weigh in, actually. So first I want to say a couple things. First and foremost, there's been a lot of passionate comments tonight, so I appreciate all of them. I'm glad that there is a big turnout. I think that is the goal, is to get as much involvement from the community as humanly possible. So regardless of the reason, I'm glad that everyone is here to participate. I'm glad that everyone has, you know, remained positive. That is the most important part of this, since we are a community. Everyone is participating, and I'm glad that people are showing up. As James had mentioned, when we had come back to the meetings some time ago, it was very negative, very nasty, the tone and tenor of the meetings, which turned off a lot of people, which is why I think a lot of people stopped showing up. So more than anything, I would encourage everyone to keep coming back and keep participating and keep your comments positive. Secondly, I want to also commend Chief Brakebill. I think he'll be the first to tell you, and if he hasn't already, I don't think I've ever had one bad moment with the chief. Every interaction I've ever had with him has been completely refreshing, positive, and uplifting. He seems, you know, in my opinion, one of the most level-headed people that I've met, and I'm happy as hell that he is our chief, especially given the previous person holding the position. And I will do whatever I can to support Chief in that position, and you know, any way that I can support the actual team in that position, I'm here to do so. Third, I know that a few other comments had made mention of participation in this community. The reason I'm on the board is for that reason, because someone needed to step up, and I took it upon myself to step up and participate, because I don't believe in pointing fingers. I'd rather roll my sleeves up and help get a job done. And I commend all the former members and the current members of this board for doing their civic duty and actually putting in the time, you know, for seemingly a thankless position. It's easy to come to a meeting and be mad, but it's really hard to show up month in and month out, put the time in, and to move a needle. So again, try to keep that in the frame of reference. Regarding this special meeting, listen, not everybody is privy to closed session meetings, and certainly with the shenanigans that happened with the former chief, there's been a lot of cleanup that has to happen. There still is a lot of cleanup that has to happen, and I commend President Henning and Vice President Whitney for taking the initiative and finding solutions instead of waiting and navigating through turmoil and consternation and finger pointing from other board members who are oppositionist and push initiatives month in and month out because things aren't getting done. They need to get done. They need to get done today. And when you have contracts that are outdated, you have infrastructure that is not being met, like job descriptions and just the fundamentals, things need to get done and we can't wait anymore. So I would just, again, I would applaud the efforts. I think the community can keep coming, keep getting involved, keep doing your research. We are completely transparent, and every communication, you absolutely should be involved in asking as many questions as humanly possible. I would recommend that you have all the information and not trust a social media post or word of mouth conjecture. I would do the work yourself and make sure that you have all the right information when you're asking questions. Make sure you trust the source. And the last thing I would say is I was part of those meetings in closed session, and there was some notable missteps, I would say, or at least seeming conflicts of interest from former council that was alarming. And given the turmoil from the previous fire chief, I think it's important that we as a community dot every I and cross every T, and defaulting to the best people in their respective fields, regardless of people think that there is hidden agendas, that they default to the best people to get the job done and make sure that we don't get into another situation like we just got out of. So with that, I'll receive my time.
President Henning?
Does any, John,
Yes, I have some comments.
okay, please.
First off, I was in the closed session with BB&K. I never once heard them offer to meet with our board members. Director Whitney, you said that there's a time-sensitive matter for legal issues. We have 0 pressing legal issues. There are no legal issues on the table right now, so I have no idea what you are talking about. And I've been doing this for the last 11 years. I know about every legal issue we have in this district. There are none currently.
Okay, I'll speak to that.
Well, I'm not finished yet, sir. I'm not finished yet, sir. Please allow me to finish. We have no legal issues currently on the table. If there is a legal issue on the table, it has been done without knowledge of the board. Because I've been all the board meetings. I know exactly what's going on. What I said, when I spoke to what Mr. Martinez told me was, the numbers don't match. Take it to the public and allow them to see how you are spending their money. I never said, he said, don't do it. Oh, don't. That's not what I said. I have received some very disturbing phone calls. I know that if the 3 of you are not careful, we will be in the middle of a legal issue, a very nasty one, because people are not treating district employees with respect. Everybody says you want respect between board members. Board members need to respect district employees. Chief Brake will have a question for you, sir.
Go ahead.
At any time today, was your job employment ever threatened?
Well, I was told that I am the reason that the district will be spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that there should be something for me to reimburse the district because I'm the cause of this special meeting. And to me, that was troubling because in my entire career in public safety, I've never had somebody threatened me like that. I took it as a threat, and that's how I perceived it. And whether it was met that way or not, but that's how I took it. And it's you know, I just got out of the hospital for having thyroid surgery, and it just bothered me. Because the last thing I want to do is take advantage of this community and cause them to spend extra money, because I was standing by what I believe. I'm not going to point the fingers and blame anybody, but that comment was said. Hopefully it was said because they were just being over passionate, but it was said, and it did bother me.
I will respond immediately to that. Chief, just to stand corrected, because I was in that meeting also. It was not hundreds of thousands of dollars, it was hundreds of dollars.
It was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. That is correct.
Even if that was correct, I still felt threatened on that, because I've never had anybody threaten to punitively, go after me to recoup the funds of the law firm, because the law firm was representing the district in this meeting, and I just felt uncomfortable, and I wasn't going to do something that was inappropriate. I wasn't going to sign a document, and I stated this very clear. The only issue I had, okay, is that I felt uncomfortable signing the document because the community, it wasn't brought before the community, even though people disagreed with that statement and said they did bring it to the community, and it was voted 3-2. It was the process. And so after that occurred at that meeting, I made a recommendation to get a hold of the president. And I said, I think this needs to be readdressed to the public. I think we need to get on social media. We need to get it out. We need to get it on the website, because I don't feel comfortable increasing our line item budget when we barely have enough money to pay our staff, firefighters and stuff. And I said, now, if the public has a chance to comment on it and they think it's good to go, I will whip my laptop out right in the middle of everybody and sign it. But I'm not going to do something. I'm not going to lower my ethics or my morals, okay, and spend people's money, even if I'm threatened, okay, with a lawsuit or punitive action. If that's what the
People are saying that they're putting on a good show and that they've been threatening.
Okay, please
I'm-
mute your microphones, please. This is, Chief has the floor and he is speaking. This is not time for public comment. Chief, please go on. You are
Okay.
speaking.
And so, and I was informed at that meeting that it was a legal meeting, and that, I'm disobeying an order from the board. And I told them that I understood that, but I said, with all due respect to every member that's at that meeting, I respect all of you. I said, but I'm not going to lower my standards and spend this community's money unless it was brought before the community, everybody had a chance to vote on it. And then, if they say go ahead, then I'll sign it. Okay, so that's all I
Okay.
want to say.
Chief, let's pause here for a second, because I don't want to, first off, let me make something clear. Right now, Jim is serving in a dual role. One role is fire chief, which, hey, you're the best ever. And then the other part of that, his job duties is he's serving as interim GM. So right now we are talking about the duties of a general manager. So please, everyone, keep in mind, general manager duties has nothing to do with chief being the fire chief. All right, so please, let's get that clear right now.
Okay.
Chief.
I'd like to finish my comment. I'll wait.
Okay,
to finish though.
okay, all right,
Okay,
finish.
so as most of you know, when I got here, the fire department is public safety, and it takes up about 80 to 90% of the time. And we were on the brink of losing our paramedic service, our firefighters, our accreditation through the state, through the county to provide paramedic services. So it took me almost a year to recruit quality people, to stop that revolving door, to get the union squared away and believing in our community. And so I put the CSD part on my list of things to do, but it was public safety that was at the higher priority at the time, because that's where the majority of our income comes. Now that I've got the fire department squared away, I started working on the CSD stuff. And so I'm going down a list. If any of you want to come to my office, you don't need an invitation. You can come down and look. And behind me, you'll see that whiteboard in my picture with about 15 items. And they're all CSD items that I'm going to tackle right now. I mean, for the first couple of quarters. So it's not like it's falling behind. I had to prioritize, and my number one priority was the safety of this community and to keep the emergency medical services and fire protection ongoing. So if I didn't do it in an expeditious manner, well, I mean, as far as the CSD part is concerned, I'm just very thankful I have a professional staff that kept everything going as I navigated through the waters with the county of San Bernardino, the state fire marshal's office. So, you know, if the community disagrees with my priorities by making public safety first and maintaining our emergency medical system, I mean, at the time when we were understaffed, I was out providing calls because we got calls back to back, and wait a minute, I'm not done, ma'am. I'm not done. They asked me a question and I want to answer.
Allow him to speak.
Okay, and I went out and administered CPR with an automated external defibrillator and brought a guy back all by myself because my other two medics were tied up on somebody else that was having a seizure and went into cardiac arrest. And so that was my priority. Right now, everything's under control on the fire side, and I'm addressing issues that need to be addressed on the CSD side. So, you know, if the community has any negative feedback on what I've done, I'd like to hear about it because I work for the board and more importantly, I work for the community. That's all I have to say.
Chief, you brought up staff. Is there a problem with office staff right now?
Yes, I'm sorry to report, and you know, this is public information, but I received an email from my administrative assistant who is now filed a workers' comp claim, and she's going out on stress leave because she feels that she was bullied, intimidated, and harassed while I was in the hospital with the board members. And I wasn't privy to that because I was in the hospital undergoing surgery at the time. And so there have been other things that have happened, and she's 7
administrative assistant.
She's
off on workers' comp.
Let him finish, please.
Sorry.
Okay. And so she said she's having contractions. She called SDRMA, and she's already filed a workers' comp claim, has a case, and she was instructed to stay home on medical leave, on administrative leave with pay until they can address the issues of, or until the board can solve their issues on how they're going to manage the district. So I'm already gone with one employee, and which is going to increase my workload. Fortunately, I have 2 other people that can fill in for her, but they don't have the knowledge. So Johnny, I'm just being transparent to the public. I don't like to hide anything from the public. And it's going to be public record anyway, because it's coming out of their tax dollars.
Are there any other workman's comp claims coming down we should know about?
Yes, there is. To be transparent with the public and to the other board members, I also filed a workers' comp claim today on stress, because as most of you know, the thyroid controls your hormonal level. And since I don't have one, and they're trying to determine how much Synthroid they're going to give me, my blood pressure has skyrocketed. I've had some anxiety attacks that I haven't shared with anybody. I've never had that before in my life. I've been in the military, I've been in the fire service, but you know, I'm uncomfortable. I am uncomfortable being stuck in the middle between having to deal with my ethics and morals, okay, and trying to follow the orders of the board. And it's caused me an undue stress. And I told the lady that I'm embarrassed, okay, to make this phone call. But I said, I cannot deal with it anymore. And I don't, and I told her, I said, hopefully nothing's being done to me, intentionally. But I said, my health is more important. And so, yes, Johnny, I'm sorry, and I'm embarrassed. I have to tell the community this, to even make that phone call, but I need for people to back off, let me do my job, okay, and I need some time to slow down and get my pulse rate and everything back to normal. Okay,
Okay,
yes, I'm one of the
Okay.
people that keep it to myself.
So,
No,
so I'm
Jim,
gonna bring,
excuse me,
I'm gonna
President Henning,
bring
I
the
need to
meeting
complete my
back.
statement.
I'm gonna, I'm
No, I have to complete my statements.
okay, please, Mr. Tolbert, complete your statement.
Okay, full disclosure. The letter that was sent to the chief from the administrative assistant was also sent to me as a board member to make sure that I brought it to the board's attention. Not only is she saying she has been stressed out, she is saying that 2 particular board members, and they were named in the complaint, have caused her to have a hostile work environment. That being said, since this will be public record, the complaints are against President Henning and Vice President Whitney. In writing, I received them along also with the chief as a board member, and I am bringing to the board's attention that currently we have an employee of the district who is claiming a hostile work environment against 2 of our board directors.
Okay, well, thank you.
Also,
Director Tolbert.
I was informed today that a board director basically threatened the chief's employment. I don't understand why any one individual would think they have that kind of authority.
Okay, Mr.
I believe,
Tolbert,
excuse me, I'm
you're
still
speaking
speaking.
on hearsay at the moment. Okay.
Excuse me, I am still
Speaking on
speaking. You are not
hearsay.
going to cut me off.
You're speaking on hearsay. This is far from the agenda item.
No, it is not. This is
Discussing
all
and-
legal issues.
Once again.
You opened it up, it's gonna be closed. You're not
Okay,
gonna cut
please
me
make
off.
your statement and then we will, I will ask the floor for a motion. So Director
Excuse
Tolbert.
me, Chief Breakbill,
I'm sorry, Johnny, go ahead.
did you tell me today that you felt your job was threatened?
Yeah, they said that they were going to move forward with me in the closed session to talk about my performance and some possible punitive action because I had a fiduciary responsibility to do exactly what the board did. Because in their opinion, the board vote was 3-2 and that was legal. Okay, and so therefore they're going to go ahead. That was the purpose of this special meeting, was to ask me in public to sign something. And if I wasn't going to sign it, they were going to move over into item number 2 on the agenda and item number 3, which was the closed session.
Were you given the option that if you were to sign said agreement, they would drop all the charges?
During the meeting, they said, if you comply with the board's directive, okay, because it was a legal meeting, that there would be no need to bring me in closed session. Okay, and I said, I understand that. I said, I understand why I'm being brought into closed session, but with all due respect, I cannot sign it because the public wasn't involved in this decision-making. And really, nobody even came to me or the staff and asked for our opinion about, well, what do you think about the performance of the new, which the board has a right to do. They're a new board. What do you think about the performance of our law firm that the district has used for the previous, 7 or 8 years? Myself, Brittany, the staff was never consulted with that. And, there's no law that says they have to consult with me. But again, okay, being transparent, I didn't think it was right. I didn't think it was right for me to make a decision and being told I need to sign something without the public's comment on it. And I did go to Director Gorky and ask her if she can have a special meeting, okay? Because I think I would have no problem. I wanted everybody to know, I have no problem signing it. Absolutely no problem, if that's what the community wanted. Or if the community had a chance to say something. And I said, Tink, I think it would be more prudent if we bring this back to the community, give them a chance, let them know what's going on, have them attend the meeting and have them ask their questions. I said, I think that will solve a lot of problems. And Tink, if I'm misspeaking, please correct me.
Yeah, so just for the public's understanding, when we call a special meeting or when a special meeting is called, it either requires 3 board members to do so, or the president can call a special meeting. Then we have to provide notice to the public. So after I was given this information, I spoke with Johnny. Johnny was in favor of also having this special meeting. So I reached out to Ms. Henning on Monday and asked if she would, participate and allow us to have a special meeting so that this could be reviewed and discussed more openly with the public before moving forward with any of that. And that didn't happen. And I'm just curious at this point, is when was the proposal from BB&K received? Was it prior to our agenda item? Because again, what doesn't sit well with me is the fact that our January agenda item was simply to collectively decide, does the board have interest in seeking new counsel? That was never what was motioned and voted on. What was motioned and voted on was we're taking this proposal that we've just handed out. So it's just very concerning, and I have a hard time explaining to my neighbors what's going on when something like that happens. So needless to say, Monday night, I got the call. There was no third from Ms. Henning to have the special meeting any earlier. So now we're in this position where we are having it on a Thursday night. I feel like at this point, I would like to make a motion that we hold any contracts to be completed until our next regular meeting in February so that it can be more appropriately added to our agenda and we take public comment at that time.
I'll second that motion.
President Henning, can I comment?
Okay, one moment. So Tink, you made a motion to hold any contracts. Could you repeat that, please?
Just hold any contracts until our regular meeting and have it properly agendized for next month so that the public can be involved. And ideally, there should be more than one bid coming in, even if it's from Steve Kennedy's office again. So more formally, there's options presented, not just this is what we're doing.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor. Do we have any discussion? Vice President Whitney, you had wanted to make a comment.
I did second that motion already, Madam President.
Okay, thank you, Johnny.
We're still on discussion.
Yeah, so in discussion, so I am an I dotter and a T crosser, and it takes a lot to get me alarmed. And although I can't discuss anything that happens in closed session, I was very, very alarmed by what I heard in closed session. More alarmed than almost anything I've ever heard as a board member in a closed session. So much so that when I saw that there was even the appearance of a potential conflict of interest with our current council, and we had that conversation with council, to me, it was the top priority because we serve to make the best decisions that we possibly can for the district. And my responsibility at that point was to protect financially and in other ways the district. So my number one priority was to make sure not only that we had new council where there would be no conflicts and that sort of thing, which by the way, there was a vetting process to make sure with this council there were no conflicts, but to make sure that we had the best council. And when President Henning brought BB&K to the table after doing an incredible amount of due diligence. I know she called LAFCO, she called everybody, and she did all kinds of things. They're also the council for Yucca Valley, our neighbors next door, because they specialize in this. I then felt, okay, that is the most prudent thing that we can possibly do, which is why I made the motion to immediately bring BB&K on board, provided there were 2 financial qualifiers, both of which were met that same night. The motion was seconded, it was carried, and I was thrilled because now I felt that the district is protected. We had thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in legal bills prior that I thought were absolutely unnecessary. And I never wanted to see those again. And I am confident that with BB&K, we never would see something like that again, because their specialties are the specialties we need. There are no conflicts. And so I was thrilled that at the end of that meeting, we now had a motion to execute the agreement and all of that. It should have been done. I adore Chief. The only conflict Chief and I have ever had, and we've had it openly, is about his capacity as general manager simply to sign the agreement. It's not, a general manager doesn't weigh in on that and make a determination to overrule the board's decision. The general manager's position is to simply sign the agreement. Because Chief felt compelled not to do what was necessary, it has cost the taxpayers hundreds and hundreds of dollars having BB&K brought in for counsel to talk to Chief and say, listen, do you understand that this is your duty? And Chief, I think you admitted that you know it is your duty. And despite it being your duty, and I have to respect somebody for standing on ethical ceremony. I get it. But the duty, the legal duty, was to simply sign the agreement. Because Chief was put in a position that was untenable for him, we have no bylaws to speak of. We have no policy manual to speak of. I asked repeatedly when I came on board, because I've never served on a board without bylaws and policy manuals. And this is in the meet and greet that we had with BB&K today. This was one of the things that came up, and they're going to help us with the bylaws and the policy manual. And Chief was instrumental in saying he had some rough draft that he was going to give them, et cetera, et cetera. But because there were no bylaws and policy manual as to, in Chief's stead, who else could sign an agreement that had been passed by the board, it's very normal for another entity to be able to sign in that stead. And usually that would be the president of the board or the chairman of the board. And the chairman can only, which is the second motion that's going to be discussed tonight, only approve things and execute things that the board has approved by a majority vote. It's not like Chief can just sign something, or the president can just sign something because they want to push something through. They can only sign something as a matter of procedure, so the name and date is on the agreement, so long it is approved by the majority of the board. So in that case, Chief would not need to sign something that he does not feel good about, although I know he does respect BB&K for sure. So the president of the board, Jen Henning, could sign the agreement that was approved by the board's majority. And going forward, if it's tree trimming, if Chief weren't around to sign the agreement, to bring on tree trimming, something that was approved by the board, the president can sign the tree trimming agreement because it was approved by the board. So this idea that the president is now going to be able to push something through is another erroneous idea. The president or the chief can only sign something that has been board approved. So that's a simple thing, and we needed that in our policy manual anyway, and that's why we have that as a second action item tonight, so that we have a policy in place and it's not predicated only on one person. My bigger concern was because this draft was not signed and we had to bring in counsel that cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, that remuneration might be in order, so the taxpayers who are paying for this delay and counsel to come in, there would be remuneration for them. And I'm absolutely swimming in ignorance when it comes to the protocols, which is why I was asking the questions is this something that has to be reported to compliance agencies, regulatory bodies, the FPPC, which is the Fair Practices or whatever commission, so that the district is protected from the decision that Chief did not feel comfortable making? Now, nobody got back to me and said, no, remuneration in this situation would not be in order, or yes, remuneration would be in order. No, this does not have to be reported to the FPPC, or yes, it does have to be reported. But our hope is that very amicably tonight, we can let Chief off the hook if he doesn't want to sign the agreement, have a policy put in place where the president can sign a board-approved agreement and move forward. And now have incredible counsel about which there was a lot of due diligence. And I personally will feel protected from what I have heard in closed session and just in general, the tens of thousands of dollars worth of law bills that I have seen in this short period of time. And a lot of it having to do, I believe, with the disruptive behavior and cantankerousness within the board that existed before, which again is why I stopped going to the board meetings. I wanted it to be fun. And the irony here is I have a rule when I serve on a board, and that is if it's not fun, I don't want to be involved. I am really hoping
Then resign.
I'm really hoping this gets to be a lot of fun and we can get over this, that these are learning curves, growing pains, whatever we want to call them, because specifically my goal, my number one goal is to make this town as great as it can possibly be.
A fun hostile takeover.
Jim, can you please mute comments, please? All right, so Director.
Madam President, I have some
Do you have,
concerns.
okay, Director Emery, do you have any comment?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
Just a quick question, and the question is to you, actually, President Henning. When you initially, before we explored BB&K, how many times did you try to reach out to existing counsel, and did he return your calls?
On multiple occasions, I tried reaching out to him, even from the beginning, going back to March when I initially got on the board. And I don't have his phone number. So it was just via emails. And I will say that he did finally, the previous legal counsel did finally respond to my January 16th email after Chief sent him a reminder or a tickler. And I believe Director Tolbert also said he would reach out to him and remind him to get back to me.
No, I did not.
Okay, and is it also, excuse me, is it also common practice with a new board to actually explore best practices, and did we follow best practices, which is, you know, based on LAFCO's recommendations, which is to look at and explore new legal counsel, and did they expose why that's necessary, President Henning?
Yes, so initially I did speak to LAFCO, and as I stated earlier, I did speak to Sam Martinez, and just to get some direction, some guidance on exactly what you just asked me, best practices, protocol, legal counsel. And he informed me that it was very typical for new boards to obtain new legal counsel. It was also a good idea that once you've had counsel for a number of years to look into getting new counsel. And he said there was absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing against the law. There's no CSD laws, state laws that prohibit that. Furthermore, there's also no laws in place that say a board, any board, a CSD in particular, has to go out and get 3 bids for an RFP to solicit new counsel. The truth is, in this industry, governmental industry, we are a governmental body, that there are very few options. This is a pretty niche market, especially when you boil it down to a CSD. In fact, some of the smaller firms who we've dealt with, who for many years, one of them being Mr. Kennedy's firm, there's other than him, there's BB&K, and there may be some others. In fact, some that were in existence, I just found out today have retired or they're not there anymore. But anyhow, that's to your point. This is common practice. It is not unheard of. And this procedure and the means and methods by which we have come to this place and at the last meeting voted on an item is not uncommon, nor is it out of line.
Yeah, and I just want to say one
Okay.
thing here. And I get that there's a lot of consternation and there's a lot of turmoil. But that being said, given that there was a history with the previous fire chief that everyone can agree was borderline cronyism, okay, and unacceptable behavior. The fact that everyone could turn out tonight and not applaud or even welcome the idea of moving in the direction of eliminating those possibilities, that's what we're here to do, okay? That's why this is introduced, and it's there specifically to make sure that all I's are dotted, all T's are crossed, ethically, morally, legally, and there is no even, when previous council was showed and basically admitted that there might be some conflicts of interest, that is cause for major concern. And everyone who wasn't in that meeting and who's come out tonight with the passion, that is the thing that you should be bothered by more than anything else, okay? And so by looking at different legal counsel and exploring where there's no prior connection to anyone on the board, there's no existing relationships that require any sort of scrutiny, and moving in a direction of complete transparency, which is what this meeting is for, complete transparency, and moving in a direction to make sure that we have contracts in place for the chief, we have policy manuals and bylaws in place for the district. We are operating exactly as per LAFCO and our obligations, and that's it. And so, I know that there's other agendas by other board members, and I'm glad that people are out, with their passion, but I would recommend that most people think about doing some homework and understanding that there's more to this story than just one person's narrative. Thank you.
All right, so thank you.
Okay, I have a few
Director
questions
Emery.
still.
Okay.
I am far from finished. I still have questions. Change for the sake of change to spend more money is wasteful at best. I won't comment at worst. It is not common practice just because a new board comes into place. Oh, we're just going to change attorneys. No, that is not what LAFCO told you. They told you that anytime the board wishes it, we have that right, but we still need to take it back to the public before we spend their money. You have tried to push this through with extreme haste without giving the public a chance to see how you're spending their money. This is not your money. This is not my money to spend. These are taxpayer dollars. For board members to threaten the chief, that's childish. For board members to have a complaint against them currently for a hostile work environment, that says a lot, that things are not being done correctly and people are not acting like adults.
All right, thank you, Mr.
People,
Tolbert.
you're not going to cut me off, so you're not going to cut me off, so you might as well quit trying. I am going to have my say.
We
Sorry.
do have a motion on the table, so
Yes,
let's,
I'm the one to second it. You're not going to cut me off. You might as well quit trying. You don't have the authority to do that. Sorry.
This nastiness that's going on right now.
I have
we
not made a nasty comment. I'm not going to be interrupted.
Vice President,
I'm
Vice
not going to be cut off.
President, Vice
And it's
President
unnecessary.
Whitney. Let's let Mr. Director Tolbert, please let's let him finish. And then so we can go on and move on with the vote. Please hold your comment, Vice President Whitney. Johnny, please go ahead and continue.
Thank you. Right now, you, Director Whitney and Director Henning, you're being faced with hostile work environment charges from an employee that you have no authority over. Director Henning, Director Whitney, this is a special district, which means there are operations issues that nobody on this board has the authority to sign for. If the vote is taken and is passed, it has to be signed by the general manager. The general manager handles operations, not board members. I don't know how many times I have to say this to you. I know you've been told this by other attorneys. Now, I'm sorry you don't like hearing that from an attorney, but those are the facts. This is a special district. This is not any private board you have served on in the past or currently serve on. This is not any LLC that you work for or serve for. No, this is a special district. We have to stay out of operations. That is not our job. Our job was to make the rules. That is why the contract for BB&K has to be signed by the general manager, because that is an operations issue. I do not understand why the two of you cannot take the time to check the special district laws and find out what you are doing. I've been doing this for 11 years. I had to learn the hard way. Quit trying to put the board into operations. Let the chief general manager do his job. Do not threaten his employment due to the fact he feels that we as the board did not take it to our constituents, the people that we work for. Any time to talk about looking into any employment contract other than his is illegal for board members to do. We have no say in any employment other than the chiefs, other than the manager. Everybody else is hired by the manager, reports to the manager. We have nothing to do with it. So to come back and say, you want to look at employment contracts? Nope, sorry. Not your responsibility, not your job. If you don't understand your job, read the law. Because right now, you're acting like dictators. We want it done our way. I'm sorry. We can't do it that way. There are laws in place that say we can't. I'm done for the moment.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so right now we have a motion on the table. And Tink, if it needs to be adjusted, please let me know. It says hold any contracts until regular meeting to review with other bids. Is that sufficient?
That works for me.
All right. We have a motion by Tink. We have a second by Director Tolbert. I will take a roll call vote now. Vice President Whitney.
No.
Okay, Director Tolbert.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Director Emery.
No.
Director Gorky.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and President Henning? No. Motion fails 3-2. Now, do we have any other motions on the floor? Okay.
There are two action items.
Seeing as there's no other motions on the floor, I will make a motion to accept the recommendation as presented on the agenda to rememorialize the board's past action at the January 18th, 2023 regular board meeting. The motion is as follows. Direct the general manager to complete the execution of the agreement before adjournment of this special meeting to retain the legal services of Best and Krieger as approved by the Morongo Valley Community Services District Board of Directors on January 18th, 2023. By motion of Vice President Whitney, bring Best and Krieger on with Shauna Amon as lead counsel starting immediately, subject to an advance deposit or trust not to exceed $2,500.
I hope y'all
A
see they don't
retainer
care about what you
in
guys want.
excess of $500 a month, seconded by Director Emery. Motion.
You people are wrong.
This is
Wrong.
wrong.
You're
You
a
all
crook.
need to step
You're
down.
a
This
crook
is
and you're
ridiculous.
control
and
the
you
meeting.
What about the
care what
community,
public
bitch?
wants on their
No,
own
you're not
agenda,
gonna
just like
put
always.
down
And let you do
Ladies
this
and
to our community.
gentlemen,
It's not
As
gonna
host
happen.
of the meeting, you
We
need
will
ladies and
not
to
stand
gentlemen,
stop.
down
Hey,
and
just stay in our town.
it's not gonna happen.
You
You guys need to
ladies
resign.
stop
and
the
gentlemen,
disruption.
please, ladies and
Resign.
gentlemen,
Resign.
ladies and gentlemen,
Resign
Please,
now.
as host,
Director
stop
Talbot,
the
Resign your post.
disruption.
Get out of here,
Recalled.
people.
Resign or be
Resign your
recalled.
post now.
Jim, please control the meeting as host.
We will if you leave.
ladies and gentlemen, Director Talbot, I
Jim,
understand your
you
ire.
need to host.
Please allow us to
Jim,
conduct our
please
business.
control the meeting as host. This is President Henning requesting that this meeting be brought back to order. As host of this Zoom meeting, please control.
No one respects you.
Please, sir.
Fucking piece of shit.
Leave Morongo Valley.
Jim,
I can mute everybody, but
please.
which I am, but I cannot ban the community from a public meeting.
Okay, Jim, this is about public.
Let the
meeting
fire
order.
chief speak.
I am making a motion.
Let
and
the fire chief
being
speak.
made.
The community has
please-
spoken.
Let the
Community
Yeah,
has
we want to
spoken.
make a motion to remove
We're
these
appalled
three
Jim,
by the
Jim,
behavior.
you need
Community
to-
has
Jim, you need to
spoken and
mute.
nobody gives a
So
crap.
I'm going to
They have
continue
all.
on.
Let Jim
Just like
speak.
always.
Motion on the
Community is gonna
floor.
fight
Let
it every
Jim
step of the
speak.
way.
President Henning,
Every
do I
step of
have
the
a
way.
second? Is there
Let
a second
Jim
to the
speak.
motion?
All in favor for the motion to remove the new board members?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I volunteer my time and
Aye.
myself as a board
Aye.
member right now.
Aye.
These people are not gonna destroy our community that we have fought for to
That's
make
right.
it what it is.
Get rid of these people
It's
now.
not gonna happen.
All in favor of Christina's motion? Aye.
Jim, take control of your meeting, Jim. Take control of the meeting, Jim.
Actually, it's.
You're the
You guys need to
administrator.
take control of
You're
yourself.
the administrator. Administrate
You
the
guys
meeting,
need to be in
sir.
control. You guys don't know control at all.
Okay, I am, as president, I am calling a 5-minute recess so that we can allow everyone to cool down, to allow Jim to regain control of the meeting and conduct.
It has nothing to do with Jim. It has to do with
Jim,
you.
please,
It has to
exit
do
the
with
Zoom
you.
and put us on a
It has to
5-minute
do with
break.
you three
5
and
minutes, you
your
can
votes
leave.
that
Bye,
you vote
people.
together and you're trying to destroy our community. It's not okay. It's not okay with all of us.
This will keep happening every single meeting. They don't care.
Everybody
Bullshit.
here needs to show up to the in-person meeting on Wednesday. We all have to fight this as a community. It is not okay and we can't let these people do this to us.
It's apparent they
Agreed.
don't care what the community wants. Very apparent.
I know we're not, but it's like, this is like.
Dylan's tomorrow at 5:00 PM. Community meeting, no board members.
Recall, recall.
The recall process is very slow.
I understand the recall process is very slow, so what else can we do? What are our options? Petitions? Can we go through and have
We've done
everybody in the
that.
town sign petitions?
We did that last time and they just ignored it. They had a couple hundred signatures, I think. A lot.
Well, I'm willing to go door to door if I need to. And I'm sure there's other people in the community here that will go door to door if we have to go get signatures.
We'll go door to door as well.
I'd like
Is
to
it a
get media
conflict of
coverage on
interest
this.
when those two live together and then she works for them?
They're all three best friends, obviously, and they
Oh,
they
really?
sat
Well, two
there
of them
and
live
had their
together.
meeting before they even went to this meeting. They went and got together. They're probably in the same room now filming.
2 of them live together and 1 works for them.
But that
Oh, you're
should be
kidding.
that's a conflict of interest, and legally, we should have a right and authority in that motion that we have 3 people who are coming together who
That's
know
a
each other,
conflict of interest.
and like we have to have something legally to step in and stop this, as well as how, as Tink said, they have a way of doing things. They all agree to look for information, and instead of that happening, these 3 people have showed up saying, let's do this. And then they bullied our chief into signing it, and our chief is defending us and not signing it. Like legally, whoever knows anyone legally, we need someone on our side right now. Like we need to notify all the press, call the High Desert Star. We had someone from Z101, someone, I don't listen to the radio, but we need to let people know that this is happening, because once again, we have people who have stepped into our CSD and they're trying just to do as they please without anyone's, approval. Sorry.
I
I'm gonna-
find it funny that they could get several bids for having the trees chopped, right? They can get several bids for that, but they can't get several bids for law offices.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
So-
What time is the meeting tomorrow at Dylan's?
5 p.m. they said.
Okay. 'cause I'm
Policy
not-
has always been 3 contracts, 3 different bids.
Thank you.
Only one bid
doesn't
was
get
brought
several
that
bids?
night.
I see.
After one 20-minute session with Steve, they decided they didn't want him any longer. Amazing.
Because he wasn't going to comply with their agenda and what they have planned.
Exactly.
I do have a question for everybody. I don't currently live in Morongo Valley, but can I still come to the meeting? Because I'm trying to run for county supervisor and I'm agreeing with everything you guys are saying.
Yeah.
I just have figured out in the county.
Public meeting?
Where do you live?
Anybody can come to
Yucca
the
Valley.
meeting,
Okay, well, yeah.
but they may not let you have your say if you're not a community member.
I'm talking about your guys' community meeting.
But you're
tomorrow.
welcome to be at any meeting they have. It's a public, open meeting.
Okay. I'll try to
I
fight
think
with you
that
guys even
when
if I don't
we
live there.
elect these new board members, we need to know, they need to be from Morongo Valley. They need to have lived here for at least over a year or more. We cannot be having people come in from the outside that don't know our community.
Well, and to say it out loud, I know they weren't voted in at all. There was 3 open spots, and 3 people applied together.
And that's the
So
thing
you mean
too, is
a-
I have no
So you mean the
idea.
Morongo post office address doesn't work for proof of residency?
I don't even.
Well, they could own Airbnbs.
True that, that seems like.
I also
they're
wanted to mention that this is the exact thing that happened in Ukaipa before they became a city and started claiming eminent domain on people's property.
Well, they can't become incorporated because there
Come
isn't
on.
more than 10,000 people who live in the district. That is a new LAFCO law. So we have to have 10,000 people. We do not have that. It costs over $100,000 to become incorporated, and it takes more than 2 to 3 years for LAFCO to approve it. So we're not becoming incorporated right away.
Can the meeting tomorrow night be like recorded or on Facebook Live? Because try to get more attention and let more people know what's going on, or for the people who can't make it tomorrow. Somebody please put it on social media.
Well, here's the thing too, is there's so many people that don't have social media here. There's so many people in this community that don't rely on social media or don't even have time for social media.
We don't
So
have
what
service.
can we, on myself, I'm gonna print flyers tonight and I will post flyers throughout the town. Anybody that has a business here, please let me know and I can post flyers at your place so we can get the community to the board
Thank
meeting.
you, whoever is speaking. That's wonderful.
Thank you, Eva.
That is
that'd be-
wonderful. Thank you so much, whoever just said that.
Having someone at All American Fuel or having at like local places that locals go, and like having someone standing there handing out the flyer and talking about it and telling them to tell their neighbors. Because a lot of people who live here who don't go, like they don't even have phones, and that's cool. I get that. But like they care about the community and they probably have been here longer than most of the people on this call.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So some shared in that we only need like 550 people to sign the recall and donate $20. I'm sure there's some of us that can donate a little bit more than $20. And that's where we're going. That's where we're going. I really hope that everyone can make the meeting tomorrow at 5 o'clock at Dillon's. I mean, there's 73 of us here right now. We really need to get the word out. And I agree with you, Eva, where you're saying that, you know, there's a lot of people who aren't on social media, but if it wasn't on social media, there'd be 10 people at the meeting pissed off as shit, and the rest of us wouldn't know. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Social is really valuable. You need to word out, and if someone has neighbors that don't have.
Oh yeah, I understand. Social media is definitely a valuable outlet, and I think that they should be posting things more on social media than they are, which they're not. Like, it's hardly ever do I ever see anything about the CSD or anything on Facebook unless there's an issue. And I think it should be posted all the time. Everything should be posted, not
Eva,
just
I'm
on
gonna chime in here quick. I post regularly and remind people.
I know, I
that no
see
matter
I
what,
see yours.
Our regular meeting is the third Wednesday of every month at 6 o'clock. That doesn't change. Special meetings, yeah, we only require 24 hours notice. It's limited spaces where it's required. But the reality is, prior to me moving here, I'm pretty sure it was still the third Wednesday at 6 p.m. And these things wouldn't get to this point if more people were involved. That doesn't change. It changed a little with the pandemic that it had to be on Zoom versus down at the community center, but it's still the same regular meeting. And I post regularly, and I posted when we were going through the summer saying, hey, we have 3 open seats and there have only been 3 applications received by the county registrar. And if we don't have a 4th, there's no election. And so
Christina, I agree, and I appreciate everything that you post and everything that you do for this community. What everybody's talking about right now that has everybody so upset is the fact that these 3 new members brought this proposal to the last meeting, shoved it in the middle of it, voted on it, passed it, and now are threatening Jim because he doesn't want to sign it because he has morals and values and they don't. That's the issue. Not that people don't go to the meetings or don't know when they are. This is underhanded and is not okay.
Yes, underhanded.
There should have been a public hearing for the new attorneys group, especially spending as much money as they are now. We're already over budget. Now they're spending even more money. And he keeps saying the old attorney was so expensive. Well, you know what? That was because they were fixing a lot of stuff back then too. You know, $25,000 of it was just their deductible, and that wasn't on Steve Kennedy, but that went to legal expenses because of SDMRA having to take on a wrongful termination suit. And the district had they had to pay it. If they want to keep their insurance, they have to pay their $25,000 deductible. And they don't understand that that's not on the attorney that that they currently had. Now they have a new attorney, so because they didn't care what we had to say.
So I will include that from our last meeting, we currently retain 2 law firms based on that vote. We can still, we still are able to work with Steve Kennedy's office as well as BB&K, making motions as far as what we want those attorneys to do. Those details would have to be something decided during a later meeting. But we still, at this point, have the option of working with either, because one of my concerns just right off of seeing it was the cost. But again, it doesn't seem like it matters much.
Someone needs a mute.
We're having that conversation prior to decisions being made. That's the issue now. Because like I said, the last agenda item that we had was to seek new counsel and get that information in, which like tree trimming or cars. It's here's some bids, here's some information. Everyone gets to talk about it, discuss it, and then we act on it. And that's what the big concern is at this point. I don't know, but I'm tired of it.
Thank you for your help, Tink.
Thank you. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful. I don't know.
You're in a tough situation because you're representing us and those three are outnumbering you and you know it's wrong. So thank you.
You
for
and
hanging
Johnny
in
are
there.
the only ones who really care.
Also, everybody, please keep in mind that there are things that you can do as constituents that we cannot do as board members.
Yeah.
You know,
Can
there are
you
things
elaborate
there
on
are
that,
things
Johnny?
we can do as board members, but there are a lot of things that you can do that we can't. Because
Johnny, what can you
unfortunately,
not do? Can you specifically tell us what can you not do?
okay, once the board has made a vote, whether you vote for it or you vote against it, once the majority is ruled, the board can only speak in one voice. So I may not agree with the vote that took place to 3-2, like I believe Director Gorky said she doesn't agree with it. We are bound by law to work with it because the board can only speak in one voice. We're not five, we're 5 individuals that can only speak as one. So once a majority is reached, we have to follow that, whether we agree with it or not, unless we step off the board. So you can make complaints to a lot more agencies than I can. There are things I can't say because I was in the closed session. If I start talking about what we actually said or did in closed session, I could go to jail. Christina could go to jail. So we can't talk about those things. So unfortunately, like I keep hearing everybody talk about the recall, we can't be involved. That's, you know, if that's what you all want to do, it's up to you. I can't tell you yes, I can't tell you no. I can just tell you that you're the taxpayers, we work for you, and I'm always going to try to do the best I can in your interest. And I believe Christina feels the same way. And that's why we are trying to raise questions and hear what you have to say.
We love you, Johnny and Tink.
Hey, Johnny, I have a question. This wasn't clarified for us. Is it true that 2 of the board members live together and the other is an employee of them?
I have no physical proof that one of them works for another one. So I can't say yes or no to that fact. My understanding is that yes, there is a couple on the board that do live together. And if that question comes up, it is legal. I looked into that years ago when we had a possibility of another couple being on the board. It is legal.
Okay, thank you, Johnny.
Hey, legally speaking, what do we need to do a petition? Or what do we need to accomplish to make some kind of change? Whether it's getting, you know, ousting them, excuse me, whether it's trying to oust them from office, or, you know, maybe even in the end, maybe we need to completely abolish the CSD and restart from fresh. I mean, how does that work? I've never understood it. I've lived here for 6 years. I've never understood how the CSD works. It seems like it functions on its own with very little input from the community, which is kind of strange in a democracy.
If you can, please make it tomorrow night at Dylan's to the meeting at 5, and you'll get filled in then.
Lots of answers.
Lots of answers.
What's the Facebook group that all the info is going to be posted in?
I don't know.
Christina, you're the only one on video. Can I address a question to you?
Can someone please post that on nextdoor.com as well?
I'm still here.
Oh, Johnny as well. It's been way over 5 minutes when she suggested that this pause. Is this meeting still going on?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
going.
we've never made a motion to adjourn, so I have no clue.
It's all go away.
We've
Well,
never made
I
a
would
motion
just,
to adjourn the meeting, so
I mentioned,
legally, I guess we are still in session.
I mention it because you've lost a fourth of your audience now, and it's been 5 minutes. So
I
not
think
to-
they're waiting for everybody to be quiet.
well, she mentioned a 5-minute pause. It's been longer than 5 minutes. The meeting should continue.
Director Henning, Director Whitney, Director Emery, are you here?
I'm here, Johnny. And I'm here for the rest of the team. Just waiting for this to restart. Our GM, who's the administrator for the meeting, has stepped away. So because we're not in physical premise of each other, all we can do is wait until he
I'm
returns.
not on camera either. It's just with the public asking, are we going to continue the meeting? I was looking to find out if the rest of the board was here. I know I'm here.
We're
I
here.
know Director
We're waiting.
King is here.
We're waiting as well. I mean, as you well know, Johnny, you've been on this board for 11 years, right? There needs
Yes,
to be
sir.
some order and rules, and people need to actually, be respectful so that we can continue with the business. And so until that happens, it is what it is.
Oh, I understand that. Unfortunately, I'm getting the impression that right now, people don't feel we're listening to them. And that is always going to be an issue in this district if the people who live here do not believe that us, as their elected officials, are not listening to them.
And
I've
Johnny,
been
you
through
know
that
what?
more than once.
Candidly, I appreciate that. And I know how frustrating it is having sat in those exact same seats, many, many times and heard exactly, where there's votes that would take place that I didn't agree with, but recognize that I wasn't on the board. And there's decisions and there was opportunities that existed that were outside of my, purview, because there's just the board business, as you well know. And so I'm not here to incite a mob. I'm not here to push people. I'm glad that people are excited. I'm glad people are participating and they want to engage. I applaud that. I mean, that's the goal. As Tink was saying, these meetings are published. They've been published. They will be published, right? So I'm glad that everyone's coming out. I'm glad that there's a lot of passion in our community, and that's why we live here, right? I'm also a passionate person, and trust me, when it comes to getting things done, that's all everyone wants to do. Everyone's here to get something done and to make sure that their interests are met. Whether you agree with the decisions of the board, that's your right. That's your opinion. We're here to listen to you, but at the same time,
No, you're not.
there's some pretty egregious items going on. There's pretty egregious items. There's cause for concern, and I'm glad that we have some representation with the people, and we certainly have the passion, and I'm glad that people want to take action. I wish that was a consistent thing. So,
But it sounds
being
like,
passionate.
Michael, it sounds like the actions of you and the other two new board members have actually opened up our community to legal fights that will cost a lot of money. And I'm not sure that is acceptable to the community that is speaking right now. So maybe you could speak to that about how you're going to deal with the two lawsuits that are now potentially being brought against us, thanks to your behavior.
So what I can speak to, Vanessa, and I appreciate your question, and I appreciate the fact that you're posing it. As you well know, and as was just evidenced in the meeting, these workers' comp issues just manifested within the last, hours. This is news to me. This isn't something that I'm familiar with, nor can I speak to. I'm not an attorney. And so this is all new information. I'm here, like I said, there's an agenda that was published that we're here to talk through. These new items are not part of the agenda, and nor was I aware of them. So I don't have the information to speak to. I'm not the attorney. That's not my responsibility. I'm here to, when information is presented and all the facts are out, then, I'm a sound person just like you are, and I'll make the best decisions that are available.
Thanks, I appreciate
and
that.
in terms of costing, in terms of legal issues, the only thing that's been public is the existing legal issues that has been outstanding, and we can't unfortunately discuss that in a public meeting, in a public setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, you can't discuss anything that even remotely comes close to closed session. Unfortunately, I wish all of you could know everything going on, but those things in closed session cannot be disclosed. And that's what has me so concerned. I'll tell you guys, what is really disappointing to me is when I saw all of the problems before I stopped coming to the meetings because of all the conflicts. I was so excited to jump on board and really start doing some great things. Tink and I had a conversation a week or so ago from parks and I mean, all of the things and, you know, some of the buildings that are run down. And we had such an energetic conversation about all the great things we want to do as board members. None of this stuff. The attorney thing is simply dotting an I so we have no conflicts and we're safe and insulated and we can protect the district. And I will stand by the decision that was made being the absolute best decision, knowing as much as we know about what's going on and about this particular firm. And by the way, they have paralegals that are very inexpensive that can do a lot of that kind of work, but their specialty is exactly what we need. And that $25,000 law bill that you guys were talking about, it had to do with, I think, personnel or something. That's another specialty of theirs. But Tink, I so still will be hopeful that we can get on board with what we talked about a week ago and start knocking some of this stuff out. Playgrounds, and I mean, with you as Parks and Recreations Commissioner or whatever the title is, I want to get energetic about moving mountains for this town. And it's a volunteer position. But if I'm going to volunteer my time somewhere, if I'm going to make a town as great as I can possibly make it, in my opinion, it's the town that I live in. It's this one. And that's why I'm hoping when I go to bed tonight, I don't lose the passion that I had when I woke up. Again, I've got thick skin. I'm a New Yorker. I can take a lot, but the things that I heard tonight were so erroneous, from firing people, looking at files. I've never asked for any employee's file, never even thought about looking at one. As far as Brittany goes, I had one conversation with Brittany that I can think of. She needed me to come in and sign a document. And I think that was the only conversation I've ever had. But it'll all get figured out. My goal is the bigger picture, that everything is going to be fantastic, that our town is going to be just a model town for some quaint place for people like us to live.
Mr. Whitney, I think that more of the issue is that the community feels like they're not being heard, and that it's kind of like pulling the wool over the eyes. Because this
James?
process of this was not the process that we are used to, that we have become familiar with. I think that's more or less an issue.
Yeah,
James, I help you out with one thing. You made the comment about the 25,000. This has been explained in an open session meeting more than once. It would not have mattered who our counsel was. That 25,000 goes to our insurance company. BB&K, Brother Kennedy, none of them would have been representing us. That is handled through SBRMA.
Yeah, I had asked Bonnie for the numbers for legal actions that were taken. I think it was a year or 2 or 3 ago. The last time I attended a board meeting before I thought it was so disruptive, I wasn't going to go anymore. I had a request to know how much those legal expenses were, because it seems like it was infighting, an internal lawsuit or something like that. And it was very costly. And every time I saw legal bills, I was blown away at the amount of those expenses. And sometimes to pay a little bit more for incredible counsel so that you don't have these issues. And again, I can be wrong. I'm just one of 5 opinions on a board. But my opinion I will stand by, which is for the district, looking out for the district as best I possibly can, having done the due diligence, knowing as much as I know. I think I ask the smart questions. And I always ask, is there anything I don't know that I should be asking? I will stand by the decision for BB&K to be on board to protect this district from any litigious behavior and that sort of thing.
James, that may be well and good. I think that the issue is not that, I mean, it sounds like there might be some like old boys network. It sounds like there might be some conflict of interest. That's fine. It sounds like, but I think what people are up in arms about is the process by which we got here. I think that if we had conducted things in a different way, you wouldn't have, 99 people on this call being like, hey, you guys should resign. Like the process feels bullying and it feels underhanded. And those are things that this community is going to stand up against. So we're at this position. The question is, how do we move on from here? The answer is not, let's shove things through in this meeting, because what's gonna end it up is that you're gonna be recalled. You're gonna have, the community spend tons of money on that. Like, you don't want that. We don't want that. Like, let's figure out the way forward together.
Vanessa,
let me just interject. Let me interject on behalf of the community. Hold on a second. Let me just interject on behalf.
It was agendized. So bringing BB&K on board, it was agendized. Nobody showed up at the meetings because, like us, I think people stopped attending them. There were very, very few people at that meeting. It was discussed. The motion was made. It was seconded, went into discussion, and it was voted on. So they're on board already. Tonight was just protocol, basically. They're already serving. They're doing situations with bylaws and policy manuals and other things.
It was only voted on by those three.
Tonight was
It's
just
one of the problems, James. It's the board's decision collectively to decide, are we going to spend money on a firm to review our bylaws? That's never been presented to me at a meeting saying, do we want BB&K to review all of this that's going on in our district? If that was something that was going to happen, that needs to be presented in front of the board, and then a board vote happens, and then they would start looking into those things.
No,
What
you're
you're
right.
talking about is they're already in process of looking at this information. They shouldn't be looking at anything. We haven't decided that.
Right. It was today in the meet and greet that it came up that we don't even have bylaws and we don't even have a policy manual, and we're operating on the fly. This
And
firm,
we have a free manual available to us through the CSDA.
This firm knows how to insulate us from operating on the fly without bylaws, without policy manuals. And Chief had a conversation with them and said he was going to get over what he had, which was just a rough draft. But as I said, I have never served on a board without bylaws, without policy manuals. I like every I dotted and every T crossed. And to me, it starts with proper accountability.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take control of the meeting. There was a motion on the table. I think we've had like a 15-minute break. I'm going to turn the meeting back over to the president so she can continue with the motion. And then if you have any questions, any board members, you can direct them right to any one of the other board members. But I've got to get the meeting back under control as the board secretary. So Madam President, we're back from our break. I'm going to hand the meeting over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. All right. So before the recess, there was a motion on the table. I had made a motion. I had read the recommendation, which is on the agenda. I will quickly go through and read it again since there was a disruption. The motion on the table is to direct the general manager to complete the execution of the agreement before adjournment of a special meeting to retain the legal services of Best & Krieger as approved by the Morongo Valley Community Services District Board of Directors on January 18th, 2023 by motion of Vice President Whitney, bring Best & Krieger on Rashana Amen as lead counsel starting immediately, subject to an advance deposit or trust not to exceed $2,500 or a retainer in excess of $500 a month. Seconded by Director Emery. Motion passed by a roll call vote. The vote at the time were ayes 3, nays 2. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Who made the motion?
I made a motion to adopt the recommendation as presented on this special board meeting agenda under.
If you guys push this through, you will come up with legal problems. Why would you
Is
do
there,
this?
Chief, can we get this done?
No, you can mute me, or
Finish
we
the
could have this
meeting.
discussion. I mean, James, nice to meet you. I'm also a New Yorker, so you and I can speak on the same level. But it's just
Jim,
right.
I'm
The
asking you
community
to
is not gonna
please, as the
accept this.
secretary of the board.
Not going to accept this. So let's find another way.
Jim, we are in violation of the Brown Act right now. Can we please take control of the meeting and so that there's a motion on the table and we can complete this action? one way
Okay,
or
first
another?
off, do not say that because we are not in violation of the Brown Act. We are not breaking the law.
Jim,
Please
can
do
you
not
please
threaten
help me
anybody with
out
that.
here? Jim, there's a motion on the table to accept the action item, the recommendation of item E1 on the special board meeting agenda as printed and presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Director Emery. I will take a roll call vote. Vice President Whitney,
I have to vote my conscience. Aye.
Director Tolbert,
Nay.
Director Gorky,
Aye.
Director Emery.
Aye.
Come on. You guys are
President
making your
Henning.
own bed right now.
Please
It's
take
crazy.
Motion
are-
passes by 3-2.
You're gonna cost us time and money.
May I please,
Time
due
and
to
money.
the-
You guys are
due
done.
to the- Due to the disruptive nature of the meeting, I am making a motion to adjourn the special board meeting of the CSD Board of Directors on February 2nd, 2023, adjourning to the next regular meeting scheduled for February 15th at 6 p.m. at the Morongo Valley Covington Park multipurpose room. Do I have a second?
Whitney, your turn.
Second.
Question.
Do I have a second to adjourn the meeting to the next regular meeting on February 15th at 6 p.m. at Covington Park in the multipurpose room?
Question prior
You
to
have a second.
adjournment.
Oh, it's gonna be
A
worse.
second by Michael Emery. This motion.
We'll all be there and
this
you are
special meeting is
fired.
adjourned
Adjournment.
to February 15th.
You will be
Question prior
fired
to
on
adjournment.
February 15th.
Question.
Please
prior to
resign at
adjournment.
that meeting.
Chief, this
You have
meeting is
heard the
adjourned.
community. It is time to go. You
There
failed
is a
at your
question from a
attempt.
board member
Community
prior to
will-
adjournment.
Pick it.
There is a question from a board member prior to adjournment. Are you going to hear it? Jennifer Henning, are you going to hear my question?
I don't think you're gonna give us a choice, Johnny. So if you're
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
say
not.
something, just say what you're gonna say, Johnny. We're adjourned, but go ahead.
No, we're not. No, we are not adjourned. You do not have the authority to say, oh, I'm cutting the meeting off. You want to make a motion to, are you making a motion to continue this agenda on February 15th also? Is that part of your motion?
Nope, a motion to adjourn the meeting to the next regular meeting.
Are you asking to continue these two items that were not addressed tonight on the next agenda? Yes
There's
or no?
there's one regular session item and there's a closed session item. And it's my understanding we need to go into closed session to finish up Chief's contract at the next regular meeting. Because that's still unresolved. I mean, we still have to clean it up
Okay.
and finish that up and then bring it forward. So is that what you're
Okay.
asking?
I asked you a very simple question. There are two items that we did not address this evening. Are you
Correct.
requesting those two items to be moved to the regular meeting? Yes or no?
No, I'm not asking that they be moved.
Thank you.
But Johnny, you know that there was just, you mean item F1 and item G, is that correct? I'm
Those are two items. Yes, those are two items we did not address this evening. So yes, I am.
That, which is new business and closed session. Is that correct?
Yes.
Johnny? Okay, yes, but we need to have closed session to
Hunter.
finish up Chief's contract.
Okay. You're not understanding my question.
I guess
You
I'm
have-
not, and I apologize.
You have two
If
items.
you
on the
leave her up
agenda.
there, I can't both make dinner be on this call.
You have two items on the agenda that we
And
did not
deal
address
with what's
tonight.
going on over
A
there.
new policy and a closed session for employee review. Are you asking for those two items to be moved to the regular scheduled meeting? Yes or no?
To finish up, okay, to finish up the closed session and chief's contract, whatever the legal tells us we need to have on there to finish that up, that will be on there. So
That is not his review. This item tonight says review. You are talking contract negotiation. They are two separate items. Are you asking for the review to be moved to the next meeting? Yes or no?
yes, I am.
Thank you. Are you asking for the potential new policy to be moved to the next meeting? Yes or no?
I haven't decided yet. That's to be determined.
Make the
All of
you.
tonight's
President.
agenda items should be moved to the
So-
next meeting.
So
Why not
at the
move it to the
moment,
next
we're
regular meeting?
adjourning. We have a motion on the floor to adjourn, a second. Can I
Fifteen.
vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
agenda item should be moved forward.
Thank you, Chief, thank you. And I look forward to seeing everyone on February 15th.
No, you don't.
Okay, so this concludes tonight's meeting.
It was an embarrassing meeting.
What a joke.
Don't
Thank you,
leave.
thank
Don't
you,
leave.
everyone.
They left. We don't have to leave. We
All,
can.
all I was,
Well,
all, I-
that's only if Jim wants to keep the meeting open.
He
all I
wants
was
meeting
pointing out is that what are the repercussions? Why would they vote no on holding it off? Holding off the vote about the legal counsel? Why would they, what is the?
I'm sure Jennifer,
Or what?
James, and Emery are all in a private meeting right now doing what they do best, hiding behind closed doors. Show your faces on this Zoom meeting if you're present, if you're not having a closed meeting on your own. Thank you, James. How about Jennifer? How about Emery? Where are you?
Wow.
Guys,
So
just
they
like that.
left because of all the
We're
disruption,
in a
but
meeting
why
behind
didn't they,
closed doors.
after the first
There's
disruption,
so
they had to come
much
back
information going on. Have a
and,
great night.
and push this through. It was so
You
important.
too.
They can't handle the heat from the public is the problem.
Then
Well, they
need
came
to
back
go.
and made sure that they pushed through the last thing they pushed through,
But can
which
somebody answer
was
the question?
Not there
to make the police chief do what we say.
Can somebody answer the question?
They
What are
can't
the
force him to do
repercussions?
something that's illegal. If he isn't
Okay.
wanting to sign
Hey,
it,
can
he
anybody?
doesn't have to sign it.
He needs to take control of the meeting. Tessa, are you still here? Tessa?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna have to sign.
Yeah,
off.
I'm around.
And
What's
if
happening?
you want to continue this meeting, somebody start a Zoom meeting, but I've got to close this.
Why
down.
don't you just, Jim, could you make me the host and I'll just keep it open?
All right, let me see if I can do that. Hold on, stand by.
I just have one question. I want to know what are the repercussions of
A minute.
not voting for this right now? Why do they have to vote on it? Why is it so urgent? Why?
Exactly. Why is it so urgent? They must know something that we don't, something that's behind the